Billions, billion, trillions, trillion, million, 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 billion, 400 billion suns, billion, trillion, million, billion, trillions of orbiting snowballs, billion, 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 trillions, million, 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 billion, 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 million, billion, 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 million, million, billion, 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 million, million, millions, billion, million, 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 billion, billion, 4 billion-year-old tree, tens of billions. I have trillions, billions, billion, trillions, billion, 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 billions, billion, million, billion, billion, trillion, millions, million, million, millions, million, billion, 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 billions, million, billions, billion, millions, million, million, millions, billion, billion years, 100 million. It took nature hundreds of millions of years to evolve a bacterium, and billions of years to make a grasshopper. Billions, trillion, billion, million, million, billion, million, million, billion kilometers from the sun. Saturn 1.5 billion, Uranus 3 billion, and Neptune 4.5 billion kilometers. Billions, billion, million, billion, billions, billion other galaxies, each of which contains something like 100 billion, million, 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 billion, millions, million, million, billion, million, tens of billions of years in the far future. Billion, million, billions, million, millions, billion, million, 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 billion, million of them. Million, billion, millions, or billions, billions, millions, million, billions of G's, billions, million, billion, million, millions, billion, billion, or million, billions, million, tens of millions of degrees. Billion, million, billion, million, million, billion, billion, billions, million, billion, billion, million, billions, millions, millions, billion, billion, million, billions, million, billion, billion, million, billion, 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 billions, billions, quadrillion, billions, million, billions, billion, billions, million, million, millions, million, billions, billions, billion, billion, million, million, billion, trillion, billion, billion, millions, 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 billion, trillion, million, trillion, million, million, millions, million, million, trillion, billion, 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 million, billions, billions, billion, 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 trillion, billion, billion, billions, billion, trillion, billion, 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 million, billion, million, billions, million, billion, million, million, billions, million, million, billions, billion, billions, billion, 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 trillions, billion, million, billion, million, million, trillion, billion, million, billion, 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 billion.
All right, we are live. That's so cool. We're live with Zachary Zaballa, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only. So cool I could get you on this live stream, man. I'm excited because for anyone that doesn't know, let me give a little better introduction. Zachary has a channel called Good Times for All, or you can say Good Times for All, depends how you want to read it, but his work, I had been seeing. So Zach does a lot of it. He's been in the flat Earth community for a long time. I don't know when did you first get in, Zach?
2015, about February was when that's when I was like all in. It only took 2 videos. Second video I saw, I was just like, what? Wait a minute, what? You know, this is a mirage. That one by Jeranism.
Yeah.
When he showed me how much the Earth is supposed to curve, you know, at just 10 miles away, it blew my mind. I was like, okay, I got to go check this out. And that's when it really started for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, I had seen your people using your clips for a long time. I had a whole bunch of your clips downloaded. I didn't know who Zachary Zaballa was. I didn't know Good Times. I didn't know your channel. And one day I came by your channel. That was actually this year, maybe a few months ago. And I was like, holy crap, that's where everyone got all this stuff. I was like, you know, and I was like, then I started going through all your videos. And you're a man who does real experiments. And I love that. So I started saving all your stuff. I was like, oh, I can use that. I can use that. I can use that. You know, you're out there with the Van de Graaff generator, levitating organic material. And I love all the videos you did and showing, you know, moving the button up and down, the Karen B button, right?
Yeah.
So I paid attention. and I really was into you, which is one of the things I was going to ask you about, like your wagon wheel moon and your wagon, you know, the wagon wheel thing going on. So we'll get into that. But so yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Zach's been in the community forever. He's a regular on. I don't know, where are all you? Where I mean, I can't even say that right now. You're a regular on what channels?
All right. Iron Rail Media is where I started. Like, that was my first group that asked me to join them. Great group of guys and a gal. Actually, Cammie Nodell, Globebuster Bob, it's his wife. She's on our show as well. She's part of the crew. But it's
Yep.
Flat Earth Head. I see him in chat there. That's Walter. And Josh Corey. And yeah, it started off more as a flat Earth show, you know, back in the day when we hadn't talked about flat Earth for 5 years, you know, 3 times a week. But the last couple years, it's more of a therapy session over there. For all the crazy stuff going on in the world, it's a place where we can all get together and vent and not be looked at like we're insane. But yeah, Iron Rail Media, great group over there. I love them. You know, they're like family.
Yeah.
And then Globebusters, about 2 years now. I've been over on Globebusters, and those are my regular spots. I've
You've
been on
J-
lots of different shows and stuff, but yeah, those are my 2 regulars.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So everyone is probably familiar with your voice if they weren't familiar with your face, because
I don't show it very often. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you're on your channel, you do. On your YouTube channel, you're a regular. But
yeah, well, I made that a point too.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to put my name out there and my face, so people knew that I wasn't, you know, just some internet troll trying to trick people. I was using myself, my actual name. I used to give out my address all the time. When they'd be like, "Oh, you wouldn't say that to my face," I was like, "Come here, here's my address. Anytime you want." Yeah. So yeah, it's been a while. It's crazy. Bob and I were just talking about that just before I came and jumped on. It's going on 8 years now. 8 years.
I got involved. Well, so I didn't get involved. I got hooked in either 15 or 16, and I was an addict. I was a flat Earth junkie. It was either the end of 15 or 16. I didn't do anything on YouTube. I wasn't doing anything on YouTube with anything. I was just telling friends and family about it. And I had a jujitsu school. And of course, I wouldn't shut up about it in the school. Like, all my students, I'm just like pulling them to the side. Hey, have you heard about flat Earth? So, and then I started doing a jujitsu podcast, and I just wouldn't shut up. And finally, I just renamed it because I could not talk about flat Earth. That someone would come on, there'd be some jujitsu champion. And I'd be like, "So, have you heard about flat Earth?" And it's like, all right.
Have you talked to Eddie Bravo about it yet?
No. He's come through Jacksonville, and I attended one of his seminars, and we didn't hang out or anything. He was pretty busy guy, right?
Probably swamped.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, man. That guy's got schools all over the world. He's got seminars going on. He's got his flat Earth stuff. So he's a but he probably didn't know I was a flat earther. Like, I didn't walk up and go, "Hey, I'm a fellow flat earther," right? I just attended a seminar and didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's a cool dude to hang out with.
Yeah, I'd love to hang out with Eddie one day. He seems like he'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Are there any other are you a boxing fan?
I'll watch it. I wouldn't say a fan. I don't not enjoy it, but I don't go out of my way. Honestly, like, UFC doesn't do anything for me anymore. MMA doesn't do anything for me anymore. I was like hyper addicted for 15 years. And then I was a fan when GSP was a star, and when Kazushi Sakuraba, and, you know, you had these people that had honor. And then it starts getting taken over by the Ronda Rouseys and the Conor McGregors that
it's
are
like WWE anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it's turning into.
It just got super disrespectful. And I was like, you know, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't want my kids watching that. I don't want them seeing, it used to be like samurai out there fighting. And now it's just WWE.
Is it weird saying that for you? You're an older guy like me, WWE.
Yeah.
It just never sounds right.
No.
WWF. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, I was never a wrestling fan. Like I was one of those guys when I was younger that knew it was fake and I could never watch it. So
I
I
think
had
about 11, I was like, okay, this is so dumb now. It just hit me all of a sudden. Yeah,
I always knew, honestly, like there was never a day I didn't know. And I argued with all my friends, like all these kids that were 11 or 12, you know, they're like, it's real. And I'm like, no, it's not, man. You can't see him stomping his foot when he's hitting him. And I feel like the same kind of awakening is going to happen with flat earth. Like it's the same dudes going, you know, it's round, it's round. I'm like, no, it's not round. But, man, we got Joe. Joe, do you want to join us? Joe Hill? Let me drop the link here. We got, you know, every time we're visited by, I saw Iron Horses there. I sent him an invite, but I'd love to have Joe on if he can join us. We'll see. Anyone you want to invite on there? You said you saw a friend in or show?
Oh, Walter was in there. I don't know if he'd want to come on. He might be doing something. I'm not sure.
Well, he can.
Yeah.
Welcome to join if he wants to. There's the link. So I've got some questions for you. Two. So I believe that you know, I've observed sunspots. I believe the sun does rotate in the sky, like
without a doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So you do too, right? All right. So some people don't believe that. I believe they do. So I think people are under the impression that when people were getting those results, they're taking their camera and like when the sun's rising in the east, and then they're going like this to the west, right? But I'm like, no, you'd have to account for. You'd essentially want to photograph the sun as if you're on as if you're using a equatorial mount or something, right? So that you're not turning the camera, right?
Yeah.
You follow me? Like, you know, I would assume everyone who's taken these, like, I never thought about it. Someone goes, no, man, it's the sun and moon aren't moving. It's people are just turning around their cameras and you're getting that rotation because you're turning the camera.
That's what's happening. That is what's happening, is you turning the camera. If anywhere you go on the plane, like say the moon is 45 degrees this way. Well, that person, when they're directly north and south of the moon, if they're to the north of the moon, I call it the soccer ball. There's a big crater. If you're in the north, it'll start off like in the upper right-hand corner, but that thing will always be right around 90 degrees. Sometimes it's up about maybe 2 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. I think that's in the autumn months. But for the most part, that soccer ball, when you're directly north of it, will always be at 90 degrees. Now, when you go over here, 45 degrees across the plane, when that moon lines up again with that person standing over there now, that soccer ball will be in the exact same spot. So it doesn't really rotate in the sky, but due to our perspective,
okay,
and us panning the camera, like they said, it's from you doing this. And just in that video that I made, I show how that works, that perspective from, if we were all standing on the North Pole, it would never change because you're at the center of the rotation. But once you move yourself away from the center of the rotation, you're changing your perspective viewpoint. So now it's not going to act the exact same as it was at the North Pole. So if it's off 15 degrees over this way at the North Pole, it'll still be lined up perfect with the North Pole.
Okay, so you're saying it's like an image stuck on a clock hand.
Yes.
Like you're okay. All right.
Exactly.
So, all right, it's like one of those things where it is and isn't rotating. Because if you're under it and you watched it go over, right, like it would rotate. But if you're looking at it from the North Pole, like I say, well, then technically it's just staying lined up with that hand, essentially. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. That's what I've seen so far. And I studied the sun for like 8 months every day, took a picture every morning, every midday, every night, measured where the sunspots were, how much they rotated. It was ridiculous. And I came to the conclusion that I know less about the sun now than I did before I started my endeavor.
But you agree that they lie to us about how sunspots work. They say they travel across the sun like east and west, right? I see them moving across the face in a circular pattern, like, you know, around the as if the face of the sun's turning essentially.
Yeah, I'm not really even sure what they are. They like to say that they're magnetic fluxes. They get a strong positive pole and a negative pole, and it creates a crust, and then it throws the crust and ejects it out into the blah 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 space and all that stuff. Now I have seen solar flares on the actual sun with a double stack hydrogen alpha filter camera. One of our buddies of the community, Chris Van Maitre, he's done all kinds of great work too. He's a surveyor for I think almost 30 or over 30 years now. But yeah, he's got, it's like a $5,000 scope with the lens and everything. But yeah, you can actually see little flares coming off the sun. What they are, I don't know. It doesn't look like NASA shows you with the
Right.
like the lava and this and that. It almost looks like there's cracks in the sun when you look at it through this filter. It's really weird. It's interesting.
Yeah, I ordered a whole bunch of filters so I bought a nice digital camera, an EOS Mark 7 or something like that, and then it didn't have the zoom I wanted. It had like an 800 mm long, this long. I thought I'd be seeing forever, and it was nothing like a P900 or P1000. Nothing, like not even nowhere in the park. So I ordered a P1000. I got that a few months ago, and I've been
huge,
shooting with
isn't it?
Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy and huge. Yeah.
That's why I got the 610, man. It's got a 60 by zoom, but it's 0.8 pounds. It's almost half the size. Even the P900. You go walking around somewhere with that P900 hanging around your neck for a couple hours, you're going to start feeling it.
Yeah, I got a backpack for mine. It's that big. You need a backpack. Yeah. So
here at the house, we have all three of them, the 900, the 1000, but that 610, that was the one I took 99% of my pictures with. Yeah. Just because it has all the bells and whistles of a P900, but it's just compact and smaller with a 60 by zoom.
Yeah, that might be my next one. My kind of my take with me everywhere one. Mm-hmm. But I got to get filters for it.
Everywhere I carried it.
Yeah.
Yeah, solar filters, they can get really expensive. It's best to just buy the solar filter paper and then just get 2 clear lenses and make your own solar filters. It's a lot cheaper that way. That's how I started doing it.
Yeah, I saw you could do that. I saw people saying you could do that. And kind of, I may do that. Yeah. I'm not there yet. Like the P1000 has a different size, lens than what I need, what I had for my other camera. So I need to get some new lenses.
I bet it's going to be expensive. Stuff all that big. That's huge. That's a monster camera, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
But man, me and the wife have been outside, almost every night now, and just zooming in on the moon is crazy. That is just like, you can just sit out there and just zoom in on it, and it's amazing. It's addictive. Celestial photography is addictive.
I used to go out there and when I was measuring moon rotation as well, we'd go out there and like every 15 minutes I'd take a picture, and we'd just sit out by the fire, all sitting around having a good time, telling stories. And I'd have my telescope out there and my camera, and we'd be looking at Saturn while I'm, it's fun. I love being outdoors, and I think that's where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, for sure. I hate my job. I'll tell you right now. Well, you said that, and the first thing that came to my mind is I sit right here all day, every day. The only thing I ever do is I leave to teach jujitsu at night. So that's like my, when I get out of the house, and on the weekends we do things, but I have an IT job and I'm just always at my desk, and it's miserable. I hate it, but hopefully it won't be too much longer. I'm like right at the cusp of retiring. Like I'm so close. So we'll see.
Yeah. I was always a big fan of manual labor. I never wanted a desk job, and I refused to ever put a tie on to go to work.
Yeah.
That was one of my pet peeves. I didn't go to college. I didn't want to. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, steel mills and factories, and that's what, that's where the money was really at. If you wanted to get out of high school and start making money right now, good money, I was going to get into their electricians program. Well, first I was going to be a Teamster. I had family in all of the different unions. My uncle was president of the building trades. They like made that position just for him. He was head of the ironworkers union. He was a BA for them. And then they took all the unions up there and they made a president of the building trades. He was so good at his job. He'd go to Washington once a month. He was down at Indy like every week. He loved it, not being up on the iron anymore. Anything to get him off that iron up there, tying rods.
It's hard, man. The problem is I went at 17, I went in the Air Force and I was what was called electrical power production specialist. I made electricity. I worked in a power plant. So I worked with generators and switchgear and battery banks. And I did that for a tour and I got out and I just fell into IT. I knew I'd been working had a Commodore 64 when I was little. I knew how to set up networks, little basic networks. And then I just kind of fell into it early on. And the problem is that IT, when you get accustomed to working in IT from a financial standpoint, I could never find anything where I could make the same money and not be in IT. I've never enjoyed my job. Never. It's always just been a job, right? You do it for 8 hours. But the cool thing is the only good side, it has one upside, which is that when you only work when there's a problem. At least that's been my experience with IT. So sometimes I can go a week without a problem, and I'll just sit. I'm just researching, right?
Kind of like maintenance.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there doing, YouTube. So really I spend more time on YouTube than anything, right? Like, or other, sites. But
now, did
I watch
IT take a hit back in 2008 when everything else did? Did you have lots and lots of people in your IT department and then it was dwindled down to just the skeleton crew of what was needed?
I didn't see that. I didn't. No, I know what you're talking about. The financial crash of, like the real estate. It seemed like,
I was a factory guy. I worked in a lot of different, we did plastic mold injection was my main area, but it seemed like every company had about, at least 10 to 15 maintenance guys to take care of 20 machines. But these are 50-foot long machines, 12 feet wide, 12 feet tall, big machines with lots of parts. And you need that many guys. Well, right at 2008, when all that stuff started happening, they cut it down to 3 guys. From 15 to 3 in some places.
Yeah.
And it's still that. And they said it's only going to be like this for a little bit. And it's still only 3 people.
Yeah.
Now all the industries are moving to completely automated robots. Even the logging industry, which I ran a logging company with my husband a couple years ago. And it's, you would think you got to go into this forest and cut the trees down, but it's amazing the way that they're figuring out to let these big machines. They have a yarder now where you can literally sit in your living room, and they used to have a yarder. You would have to change the line where you're pulling wood up. You'd have to change and do it. Well, they put the tail hold to a excavator, and they can just move that excavator without having to do it, change anything. You could literally log from remote controls in your living room now.
Oh yeah.
I know farmers have been doing that for a while now. In Indiana, you're driving by and you see this combine going and there's nobody sitting in it. It's like, what the heck is going on? Yeah.
It's very sad.
I've seen guys working construction equipment, dozers and whatnot from home, just like drone pilots. They're just working from home.
It's scary once they get the AI actually able to function to at least do that kind of stuff, which I don't even think they're close. The whole self-driving
Really? I
cars.
think you don't think they've reached the what is it called? The
pinnacle? No,
it's not. The singularity.
Yeah, no.
I do. I think we're already there.
I don't think we can create what God created. I don't think we can make consciousness.
I don't think we'll ever make consciousness. They'll lie to you and say it's consciousness, but it's just a series of if then
Well,
go
no.
to,
So
right?
singularity is where technology has surpassed, like,
Well, it's when so that's a term coined by Ray Kurzweil, and I'm a huge fan. I used to be a huge fan of his, right? Let me just say I used to be into that, but that's when that's when transhumanism, the crossover between electronics and AI and robots crosses over with humanity, so that you can't tell which started out which. So you don't know what started out as a robot or what started out as a human.
right.
And
So I think that they have reached that, but we just aren't aware of it in the public yet.
Yeah,
See, that's
well,
that Sun Tzu art of war. I think they want us to believe that, but I think this, like getting a machine to, be able to do the things they want to do, I still think they're way back there. They want us to
Maybe.
believe we can do this, but yeah,
But
I
I
worked
will
with
tell you,
automation a lot.
over the last 3 years, I mean, I've definitely met people I thought were robots. I talked to people. I mean, even in the world stage, I mean, Biden, I swear, is a robot.
Well, yeah,
Just by some-
with the technology today, they could type something just out of paragraph, and they could have Biden, Clinton, whoever you want up there on stage, all saying the exact same words together with their voices and their
right?
mannerisms and
Exactly. You know, we
everything.
don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
We believe the Bible, though.
so
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to share something, because when I first was looking into flat Earth stuff, I got like a lot of bad information about the flat Earth, and some of it was just totally bogus. And so when I shared it with people, they would be like, well, obviously this is not, you guys are idiots, because I was resharing stuff that was not accurate.
Yep.
And I sort of ran into just struggling to find things that I was able to share with my friends and family. And then, of course, I grew up a Christian, and once I started talking to like pastors and people within the church, I was like kind of ostracized. And so me and a friend of mine, we just kind of were like, what are we going to do about this? Like, she was also Christian. And one second, my kids.
I love hearing children playing in the background.
Yeah.
So, anyways, she is a very highly intelligent. She's got degrees in I think it's engineering and natural sciences. And so she put together this whole report about proof that she has done. So it's a whole website. I shared it in the chat because I wasn't able to share it in like a link in the regular chat. Could you guys?
No, you can share. You have a little, if you look down at the bottom, you have a little, looks like a monitor screen with an arrow up. You should be able to share. You don't see it? I mean, I can share it if you can't find it, but
I just see the private chat. Oh, I see the monitor.
Yeah.
Oh, share screen.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. So can I share my screen?
Yep.
Because she also just took a video. I think I need to click this share audio, entire screen. But it won't share. It won't highlight the share for me.
I can share it. Here we go. I'll share. Do we need sound or no sound?
No.
All right. And 1 second. All right.
So the real world proof is it has all of her own stuff that she's put together, all of the videos, footage. It has a bunch of star videos. And then it's also a lot of biblical and scriptural support, and including her own personal testimony and credentials. And so I just wanted to share this because I just personally lacked any kind of like support when I was trying to share with others. And so this is what my friend put together, and I just wanted to share that with any other flat earthers. This is all stuff that you can verify, and even easy tests that you can do yourself, such as the moonlight test. And it's kind of, I know you got to like download it, but you know, this is where we've come to. I mean, I have major trust issues since becoming a flat earther, like
Well, yeah,
major
as you
trust issues.
should. Yeah.
In fact, I even thought a lot of like the flat earth people on YouTube were probably not genuine and trying to mislead even this community. And to the where I like wouldn't even listen to anybody else's content. And, you know, I've sort of realized that, like, I think that's one of the problems that happens once you realize you've been completely lied to on
Yeah, it's
such
like,
an
who do I
emotional
trust
level.
now? Who
Yeah,
can
who do
I
you trust?
trust? The
Yeah.
thing is, you don't. That's how I've always taken it. I went out and tested everything I could. You know, that was you, I can't rely on someone else to give me the truth. I have to go
Right.
find it.
Which is good.
And that's
It is
that's
good.
what got me on this journey and put me on this. That's why I started my whole YouTube channel. I didn't want to be on YouTube. That's why I spell my name the way I do, so people leave me alone. They can't find me. You tell somebody good times for all, you're not going to find me on YouTube. Good luck.
Good Tim's for all.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wanted just to share, you know, what I discovered and found myself with all the different
Right.
tests and observations I've made and say, hey, I don't know what this place is. You know, I used to think it was this big ball floating in space. And then now that I've done all these tests, that's out the window now. It's definitely not this big giant ball floating in space. What it actually is, I've never claimed to know. You know, I think that's the magic of this place is there's some things that we're not supposed to know. And
Right.
that's one of the lessons of this place is you don't get to know everything. Enjoy it, use it, you know, use the stars and the sun and the moon. Tells you when to plant your seeds and when to harvest and this and that. But don't try to figure out what it is. That's silly.
Yeah, you know, there's a scripture that I think we do you guys believe that we should be able to draw pictures of God?
No,
Okay,
I
and now
don't think
why is
so.
that? Because isn't there a verse that says that we are not to make any images of God?
Well, God
Well,
is
yeah,
everything, right? I mean,
Okay, so the scripture though that says that we're not supposed to make any images of God says that we're not to make any images. It actually says graven images, but it says of God, of anything above the earth or anything below the earth. So I've often wondered, like, are we even supposed to be making these flat earth images of what this is? Because where people take that verse and say, we're not supposed to draw God. But if you look up graven image, it means an image to be worshipped. But people take that as, but you're just not supposed to draw God. So if you take that as you're not supposed to draw God, are we also not supposed to be drawing the stars and what's under the earth and everything? Because that's in the same verse.
you know what's crazy is I quit. I have probably 10,000 pictures of on my camera that I've taken, and maybe 5 of them were of people. The rest are bugs and trees and plants and, you know, birds and all that kind of stuff. But one day I was out there, I was getting ready to film a hummingbird, and that little voice said, hey, you're not supposed to do this. They don't like it. Stop doing this. And I haven't done it since. But it was
Really
weird.
haven't taken
Yeah.
any wildlife footage
Nope.
since? Wow.
Over 10,000 I had.
Wow.
You know, this was like one of
so
my passions. I loved just going out and finding different bugs because I had the micro and the macro, and I could zoom in and get their
Yeah.
eyes of a bug or a snail, the blue ring around a snail's eye.
But you just felt like,
Like I was invading something, like I wasn't supposed to be doing this. Something told me that,
Interesting.
hey, yeah, this isn't You're not supposed to do this.
Well, was that just towards insects and whatnot, or are you not using your cameras at all anymore? Or
I'll do it for like experimentation, stuff like that, you know, to show somebody something like that. But yeah, when I go out in nature anymore, that's for me. I've learned that moment in time right there, right then, that's not for anybody else. That's for me.
It kind of reminds me of that verse that says, "To the pure, all things are pure." And if it's a sin for you, then it's a sin for you. But if you don't even understand, you know, if you're doing something and you don't understand what it is, then it's not accounted as a sin, you know, because I think
Absolutely.
it's not, you know, there are God's will and God's, you know, law, like things that are obvious, like he wants us to not kill people, you know, like, but there's other things I think where he's more of a personal, he's like, no, I don't want you doing this. Like, I want you to enjoy. And I think we just got to be sensitive to that. Joe and Run Boston.
I was waiting for a chance to introduce them. We've got a full house.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna drop off.
Zach pulls in the crowd, man. I'm loving this. Holy cow!
Mine's gonna be very, very short. I'm just gonna drop a nugget and go. Probably the baby in the room. I've already said on a few different channels. Like I'm like a year into True Earth, and a lot of the deceptions fell after that. I've been following Yeshua for coming up on 14 years. So it's really interesting to have over a decade being surrendered to Jesus and not knowing what the creation was. And then as soon as I started, you know, I had a friend guiding me, a dude who's a truther that's been on the journey for like 5 years. He knows a ton. Once you realize that you're stationary and you're not spinning like sporadically out of control, and God's not infinitely far away in like La La Land, you can't even imagine where he might be outside the ever expanding universe. When you realize he's much closer and can see us, it gave me a peace. And as I started following you guys, I wanted to thank you, Zachary. Your downward vector video was one of the, I guess, staples in me understanding like there is truth to be found outside of what mainstream pushes. And that's Hollywood, that's the news. You know, a lot of times on the truth journey, people, they're like, yeah, but what about all the nice teachers and they're good people? And so I had this relationship with this, you know, and it's like, well, you may have liked the person and they may not have known that they were teaching you things that weren't reality. So don't try. It's so weird. Like, don't not move forward into truth just because you have this great memory of so-and-so that taught you this and that. So what I'm getting at is, I thought I had to be as smart as you, Zachary. I thought I had to be an Austin Whitsitt before I came on a stream or before I even like presented anything to anybody. But what I realized is I'm made in the image of God, and I'm special and I'm unique and I'm different than anybody else. And I'm awake now to a lot of the truths. So what I'm doing is I'm being childlike and I'm saying, you know what? I don't know all the answers. I'm looking for them. I'm praying and asking the Father to reveal to me what he will. I'm also being kind and courteous and gentle in the debates. And if somebody wants to go gamma on me and get all like sideways and cuss me out and call me an ignorant, stupid idiot, I'll be like, you know, that's your opinion. But what else has happened is I was judgmental. I thought if somebody wasn't like me, they were a threat. And now I can talk to a Muslim, a Hindu, an atheist, a Christian, even like Christian trademark. That's like Christian religion. I'm free to love anybody and everybody how God wants me to love them without judging where they are on the day. And it's fascinating. I never expected to have so much freedom by finding True Earth and all the deceptions in you guys. So this family is amazing.
It's a compassion. I mean, honestly, I feel bad for that because I was there too. I mean, I feel bad that all these people have been so severely led astray.
It's traumatic.
And it was shocking to me when I realized that I was participating in occult practices and pagan things that I had no even clue that they had those origins. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely feel compassion for these people are lost, you know, even these people that hate on us, you know, it's sad.
I get a lot for this when I say this kind of stuff, but like the so-called elites, you know, that do some of the most heinous acts that a human can do. Those are some of the people I feel the sorriest for. Yeah. I used to hate these people, you know, with a passion. Like, we need to, you know, hurt them in ways.
Yeah, right.
And once I got rid of that, once I realized that this is a product of a horrible childhood, a horrible
Right.
life,
Yes.
just a horrible. Yeah, they have all this money and all this so-called power, but have they ever truly been happy just for one day of their life? Truly happy? Probably
Mhm.
not. And I feel so bad for these people the most. The people that I despise the most are the ones I also feel the most compassion for.
Yep. They're probably the most lied to.
Yeah,
100%.
really.
They're told, Satanists are told that Christians are horrible, hateful people, that, that goodness doesn't exist. And I mean, yeah. Hey, I have a question for Joe because I was
Oh, I
watching
don't answer questions.
one of your videos. Are you taking off?
Yeah, I
No,
gotta
I'm
go. I
joking.
got
I'm just
a
joking.
couple calls from my wife. I got to make
Oh,
mac and
gotcha.
cheese for the kids, and like literally popping in, popping out. Y'all have fun. I'll be listening.
All right.
Good
Much
luck
love,
on your journey.
Ambassador Bear.
Cheers. Peace.
So Joe,
He's awesome.
I was
Yeah.
watching one of your videos and I believe it was like video footage of what looked like an eclipse,
hmm
but it showed like you could see the moon. Okay, so I was under the impression that the new moon has never been seen, photographed, or anything. That the new moon, you
Yeah,
could
I don't
not
think.
see the new moon at all. But it
Was it a
looked to
solar?
me like it was an eclipse, which would have had to happen at a new moon. And it looked like you could see the moon. Now, I wasn't sure if it was an eclipse or not, because it was like you could see just like this, it almost like a crescent, but then you could see the moon, but it was like dark.
Oh,
And
I
I've
think, was
never
it
seen
recent?
that. Like when,
Was it recent?
yeah, it was just
Yeah.
yesterday, I think.
That was
Or today, maybe it was
that
today.
I had the exposure cranked way up on my camera,
Mm-hmm.
and so it makes it kind of like hazy looking, but you can see, the
The
dark
features.
part.
Yeah.
So was
The-
that your
yeah,
footage?
you can see the features. Yeah, that was just
So-
through my telescope.
Through your telescope. So you can see the unlit part of the moon?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Sometimes you can even see it with your eyes if like
Really?
right
Mhm.
when it's getting dark out. Right when it's getting dark, there's a time where if you look at it right, you can totally see it. But a camera can get it pretty much every time.
Every
so,
time, yeah.
Yeah.
With the crescent.
Wow.
You
And
just gotta
it'll
mess
like
with the ISO settings.
yeah,
little
and the part that's the light part of the moon, it'll look like just washed out.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
see,
look
that's
like
where I
the
wasn't
sun
sure. So it
almost.
must have been a crescent moon that you were not
Yeah, I
in
think that was just
Okay.
in the same cycle
Yeah.
or whatever. That was just like maybe like 10 days ago or something. Maybe a little more than that. I'm not
They
sure.
consider
Yeah, 'cause it
getting
was
a
full moon
picture
yesterday.
of a
Or
moon
the day
during
before.
an eclipse. If you can get the features during an eclipse, they call that the holy grail of pictures. Because nobody's ever been able to get it.
Yeah,
See, that's what I had
like I've
heard.
seen pictures that are claimed to be that, but they just look so
Oh, they're full.
jacked
Yeah,
up.
I've seen people fake it for sure.
I've looked at the moon during an eclipse, and actually I put that in the chat earlier. If you guys in 2017 I bought a P900 and I went to Nebraska and filmed that eclipse we had in August.
Oh.
And I zoomed in on the like the prominences. It was really cool. And I've got that footage on my channel. If you search, well, you could search eclipse or whatever, but I have quite a bit of footage of it.
Yeah, I snapped a picture like every, I don't know, so many minutes or seconds or something like that. I was just going nuts with my camera, different lenses and different stuff. I was like 90, it wasn't a full eclipse where I was, but I think it blocked at 91%. And when it was,
So it was really,
yeah, I mean, the crickets came out and started chirping.
Yeah. It was
so
one of the
weird,
most
dude. Yeah.
cool experiences I've ever had. Like I can't, like, it feels supernatural in it, like however you'd want to think about that. It seems like something that God is doing. That's something, it's not something that just happens because of, the impossible chance of us being in a solar system.
So
now that kind
I've
of
really-
knowledge. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I really questioned the eclipses. And this was actually one of the first reasons that I started questioning all of this stuff, because what they tell us is that there's these two like shadows, the umbra and penumbra. And if you look at I think it's the 2018 Griffin Observatory footage of a lunar eclipse, it shows like the light coming from one way and then it like leaves a different direction. And it's these two shadows, which just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you can't get two shadows from one light source. And so I've wondered if there were like a dark body causing eclipse. Although, yeah, because I had heard.
I think it's just the moon. I think the moon is just blocking the sun
on a solar eclipse.
The whole idea of the umbra and penumbra behind me. I'm just talking for a solar eclipse, I guess. But see my drone, I'm 3 feet off the ground and I fly up and you notice there's no umbra and penumbra.
Right.
And I'm just saying, this is simple. The moon doesn't have this little central beam of a shadow coming from it that's 70 miles in diameter. Every time I've seen something that's 70 miles in diameter, if it's a shadow, it had to be caused by something that was about 70 miles in diameter. So I like, as far as that goes, if I thought the moon was like a rock, I'd say, oh, it's a 70-mile diameter rock, but I don't think the moon is a rock.
Right.
Well, yeah, how does the moon cast a 70-mile shadow, but the Earth on the moon completely covers it? How does that work?
Because you know what? I'm sure if we looked at the angle and the distance, that somehow we could, if we wanted to, like
refraction.
That's why I say there's evidence for the globe. There's evidence for the flat Earth. But if we wanted to, we could turn it into evidence for the globe somehow if we just did the numbers right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all just numbers. All of it is just numbers. And really what we've been born in a generation that's living in a special time or something.
Well, this is the dark ages right now.
Something's crazy.
The time of deception. I mean, how much darker can you get?
It is. And
when
that just reminded me of
is lying to us. Yeah.
Thomas Morgan, who is in the chat. Oh, yeah, I gotta talk to you about Brenda too, Bobby T.
Oh my gosh, that was
that's why I was smiling earlier, because Brenda came in and I saw.
Hi, Brenda.
I couldn't even watch it. I'm sorry.
I decided I'm not gonna debate Brenda. I don't want to debate Brenda because she's intellectually dishonest. And I just the other day I posted 2 screenshots of some sunspots and the sun, like through my telescope. And I just 2 screenshots, and I literally wrote "the sun today," I think is what I wrote. This the sun today. That's what I titled the whatever community post. And I gotta go there. Brenda, I don't get it. Why would you be dishonest when? So Brenda says, what is it showing, or something like that. I'm actually going to go there because I don't want to be accused of wording anything just because. But like, this is the same with MC Toon. Like, MC Toon's great guy, whatever, but he's intellectually dishonest and thinks that something that's not in motion should have a measurement of motion. And to me, that's just, it's goofy. But Brenda said, so the post, what did I say on the post? I better look. Screenshots of the sun today. That's what it said. Screenshots of the sun today. And there was just two images. They were literally from my phone, screenshots from my phone. And Brenda commented, what are these supposed to show? And I replied, it is the sun. That was my reply, it is the sun. And Brenda said, not what I asked. But Brenda, you asked, what are these supposed to show? And I answered you the same as the title of the post, it said the sun. That's what it shows. That's the screenshots of the sun. That's all it's showing. It's very simple. And so Brenda says, not what I asked. And then so I said, okay. No, actually, Brenda, that is exactly what you asked. You asked what these pictures are supposed to show. The pictures show the sun. I will not waste my time in a debate with you now because of this obviously dishonest reply you've made. And then Brenda said, it is obviously the sun. I knew that. I meant, what is it about the sun that your pic is supposed to show? But it's okay. I know you're afraid to debate your religious ideology of flat earth. So then I said, it is pointless to debate someone that can't figure out that a picture of the sun is a picture of the sun. The picture is supposed to show the sun, which should have been made obvious by the title of the post, which is screenshots of the sun. That's pointless conversation. And that's why I kind of thought about it. And I said, I'm not going to waste my time
Yeah, I
entertaining
feel like
people
that's what a lot
that
of
want to be
these
that way.
Globers on YouTube is literally to waste our time, to distract. And that's
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
every
because-
second
right,
that
too.
you're wasting on them, you're not actually learning anything
Yeah.
new.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my frustration. So I kind of quit interacting because I got called a liar for saying I was in IT, like somewhat like as if I said, I've been in IT for 30 years. Right. And Brenda said, yeah, you ran cables. Right. And I'm like, why would you say that?
Yeah,
Right?
but
Like, why
Bobby,
would you, that's demeaning. It's insulting. Like I said what I did. And
but that's going to disappear. Like, sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off.
No,
That's
it's all
going
right.
to disappear though. With like, I'm just saying, with more time, the changes that someone's making in your life.
Yeah.
And if you just follow that progression into the near future, you just follow that, and it's going to be a continued improvement for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like those things, because I could tell you were kind of giving your credentials, and I was like, you know what? I think I would have been doing that same thing, trying to defend myself. I'm not lying and all this. And then I learned like that stuff actually, when someone says it, no one acknowledges it if you don't reply back with your. No one even acknowledges it. They're like, why would they say that? Why would they say he's lying? That's dumb. He's obviously not lying.
But see, they know that. They know that when you first get hit with that,
it bugs you.
You feel like you're a liar if you don't defend it, right? Like you feel like, well, if I don't say anything, then all of a sudden I'm a liar, right? You feel like,
I was obligated to get the last word, almost.
Well, you also feel obligated to prove yourself that you aren't lying, obviously. But yeah, I think
I did learn a lot from trolls, though. I did back in 2015. Arguing daily with these people. They'd be like, well, this is where, go to look at this article. Yeah. And I'd read the article. I'd learn some new words and phrases. I'd go, it's just research, folks. You just find these words that you don't know what they really mean or have never heard before, and then go do some in-depth research on that. And 99% of the time, it would say the exact opposite of what they were saying.
Well, debate is great and healthy, and the whole reason for it is to challenge everybody and to give different points of view that maybe we hadn't thought of before. But I mean, when I was first learning about it, it was not productive debates that I was watching. It was literally people just bashing each other and saying how stupid you are. And I was just like, whoa,
that's all there was at the beginning.
Not productive, but I have since heard some debates. I'm not a debater. I don't want to debate. I don't want to argue. I don't even care what anybody else thinks. You go ahead and think what you want to think. I don't even want to try to sway you. But I've learned a ton from listening to some great debaters.
After Zachary debated Jeranism, I don't want to debate Jeranism because Zachary got smoked. No, I'm just kidding.
You all had a debate? Zach and
Did was that
it was the game? No, it was the game show.
Oh, that's right, on Melodome. Oh, okay, that's right. That's right.
I don't do debates too much. I mean, there's not really much to debate. I don't think.
It's more the it's more
It's just physics. It
yeah,
only works one way.
I think it's strange how when I went out to lunch with MC Toon, and that's what one of the conclusions that I think we both did agree on is that I said I can look across Mille Lacs Lake and I can see it's like 18 miles across. I can see the town. You can see the water towers. You can see all this. You can see the trees that are right on the shoreline. And there's really only if it's windy is it obscured where it looks like you can't see. So you can see across the lake all the time, and unless it's foggy or whatever. But when the air is clear, you can see across the lake, and you can see the trees. I mean, you at that distance, you're not going to make out little speedboats and stuff like that parked on people's docks, but you can see that there's houses and things like that, and like with a P900 or P1000. And so I borrowed him my P1000 with a challenge, but that's a different topic. But like when you're looking, this is what I was saying to MC Tuna. It's like when you're looking for evidence for the globe, you can find it. If you're looking for evidence of the truth, you can also find that. Like he wouldn't have agreed with that, but he did agree that if you wanted to find evidence for it being flat, there's plenty of evidence. If you want to find evidence for it being curved, there's plenty of evidence. And to me, the evidence is it's what happens inside of us. If I asked you if the earth was in motion, there's only one answer that's a truthful answer.
Well, yeah.
And you know,
absolutely not.
I had it, yeah, exactly. Well, if it was in motion, then we would be able to know that it's in motion. We would have evidence of it being in motion. So something like I had up on my screen behind me, I had this star trails that I took from my backyard.
I gotta head out. I got mommy stuff to do. Thanks for your time.
Nice meeting you, Danielle.
I appreciate you having
Good
me
seeing
on.
you, Danielle.
You too.
Good seeing you. Have a great day.
Till next time.
But in this image behind me, it's probably hard to tell on the screen, but the stars are what is in motion. It's a time lapse video that I took, and the stars, they start in one position, they end up in a different position. That's the definition of something being in motion is being displayed by this. You could call it an experiment or an observation that I did by setting my camera in one spot and not moving my camera. The stars show us that they move throughout the night sky. They turn about 15 degrees per hour. And for someone to say, well, no, it only looks that way because the earth is rotating and it's a sphere. That's literally an inference. So they're inferring something. And we used to do this too, maybe not in the front of our minds, but we did this too. We infer the opposite of our observation. We infer something that literally most opposes, that nothing could oppose our observation more than what we're inferring, that we're
the exact
rotating.
opposite of what, reality.
It's the exact opposite. And so
that's how Satan is, right? It's the opposite to oppose.
And he can fool everyone because, like, I'll just share my dad and we have conversations like this all the time, and he's not convinced. You know, he's just stuck on what we all used to know, right? And I asked him one time, I had my iPad or whatever, and I put these star trails on there, and I said, what in this video, what is moving? And he would not say that the stars were moving. He said, that's the earth moving. And I said, the earth is not in the picture. The sky is in the picture.
I mean, they figured this out a long time ago. Aries, George Biddle Aries figured it out that, hey, it's the stars that are moving, guys. And it's a very simple test that, people can do today. And
like I always say, everyone knows that the stars move in the night sky since we're children. We all know that. The stars are what's moving, and the moon's moving, the sun's moving. And then throughout the year, we have the constellations. That's how we tell a year, because the sky's moving. If we don't have the sky moving and it's just us rotating, it's not real. It's just
But
a
people
lie.
would rather have a lie for their answer of what they are, because people are beyond. We have clocks, we have, all this other stuff. We don't need the stars anymore, they think. We got calendars, we
Yeah.
got clocks, yada, yada, yada. But what they want is an answer to what they are. It's something that
Yeah.
no human can grasp. We can't go up there and touch them. We don't know. But
Yeah. We
having
don't know
any
at all.
answer is better than saying, I don't know, to a lot of people. I don't know scares people. The unknown.
Yeah. It does, but it shouldn't. Like,
No, it shouldn't. It
there's
should
truth out.
inspire
There's truth
you.
available. Yeah, there's truth
Yeah.
available. Like I always bring up what David Weiss says: you never get bored after that. Like ever get bored.
What's hilarious is when we're talking about the stars and how we keep time, right? The celestial clock, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. If you ask, any globe earther what the most accurate timepiece in the world, they'll say, "Oh, it's the atomic clock," right? And I'm like, really? Because how accurate is it? And they'll say, "Oh, well, it's if you look it up, it loses 1 second in 100 million years." Right?
Oh, they counted that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Hold on. So it's like, really, what'd you compare that to? Like, how do they know it loses a second in 100 million years? Loses a second compared to what? Right?
Compared
The
to
sky.
what? Yeah.
That's what dictates our night and days, right? The celestial clock does. So I just think that's hilarious. Like that tells you they're lying right there, right? The fact that someone would believe that. Like, what are you going to compare it to? You're going to compare it to a Rolex or the
So
sky?
that's how we know how long a year is, right? I think if we were to take a picture of the sky today and plot everything, and we were to go 364 or 365 days from now, it's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we know a year went by because the stars did their cycle or whatever. If that wasn't happening, we might not have a thing called a year. We might just be, I'm gray hair old. I'm not gray hair old yet. I'm bald old, but I'm not, you know what I mean? Like a year is specifically laid out for us in the sky. And then another interesting side note is Daniel, the prophet, he wrote that the Assyrian or whatever would be thinking to change times and laws. And when I read that now, it means something that different than it did to me before truth about creation came to me. It was because if you think about it, if someone's trying to change times and laws in this world right now, who is that? Who's trying to do that?
Yeah, Satan.
Yeah, but even specifically a literal person, Elon Musk. I'm just saying he's with Starlink and everything.
Yeah.
If you look up at the sky and you do like time-lapse photography, you see all the air traffic, like the commercial jets and stuff like that. But above that, you see all the other lights, especially since like 2019, they've put like almost 4,000 of those things. They got to be really close to 4,000 of those things in low Earth orbit.
What do you think they are? Like high altitude drone?
I think they're actually exactly what SpaceX builds them and thinks that they are. This might be a different point of view, but it's probably worth considering. Okay, you know about low Earth orbit, Zachary. I know you do. You know way more than I do. But low Earth orbit is a part of the solar system. If we were to say it's part of space, right? As far as what we were taught. And these astronauts, they figure they go sideways at a rate that just matches with that curvature of the Earth that we know doesn't exist, right? So that's how they go into low Earth orbit, because they go like this and they start falling and they continually fall in the same way that the Earth is free fall around the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And the moon is free fall around the Earth, and Jupiter's moons are free fall around all that. How that works, if you think about that, the place of darkness that they call space, according to NASA and SpaceX and those people, it's a bottomless pit. there is no bottom. When you get there, if you get there, it's like they got a key to that place back in the late 50s or 60s or whatever, or Gemini, I guess it would have been. But it's like they were given a key to this bottomless abyss. I'm just saying this stuff seems like what we read about in the book of Revelation in so many ways. And to me, like
That's Enoch as well. The bottomless pit
yes,
where
definitely.
the 7 stars that didn't listen
Yes,
were put.
planets, wandering stars. So I believe that those planets, they're not places. I believe that they're assuming the form, something that looks like places, to draw the hearts of men, so that we want to ascend and basically forget about God.
Well, yeah, we've been worshiping planets for how long now? These
Since
lights in the
Christ
sky.
was here, even, you know,
Yeah.
like in the book of Acts,
crazy.
they were worshiping the stars and the host of heaven, and they had a rock come down from, I don't remember, but it just seems to me like we're gonna reach a point where everything changes. Like, this is just my belief. Everything changes in a way where all of a sudden every one of us, even us who think we're prepared for it, are gonna all of a sudden look around and go, have I just experienced this? Like, have I just experienced truth coming in my life? You'll flash between, like, the last 10 years will flash before your eyes. And all of a sudden everything's I think every one of us will realize why we've seen this truth and why we're talking about it, and why it's basically, we've given our entire lives to this cause of letting anyone that'll listen to know about the truth. That's what I'm saying. I think we'll all know, because otherwise, I think there's something supernatural happening that's undeniable too. Even Brenda should be able to acknowledge the possibility that something supernatural is happening, because of how many flat earthers there are being made new every day, and how many globe earthers are leaving the globe every day. And it never goes the other way around. It only goes one way. So our numbers are winning. Their numbers are losing, even if they started out with a huge army.
I heard
our army's winning.
I heard a NASA, I brought this up the other day, but I heard a NASA astronomer, and I'm going to clip it because I've got the video up. But she said the numbers are between 20 and 50%. That's what she said, what she heard. She goes, I had heard that the numbers of flat earthers are between 20 and 50%. That was her,
we've made
not
a
me.
difference in the last, what is it, 8 years, 7 years, 6 years?
Going on
But
8 this year, yeah.
When you go out into public, because I say it to, like, I go to the gas station and I'll just be like, hey, you heard about flat earth? Yeah. Like, I'll just say, you heard about it. And like every time I'm going out of the security at Menards or whatever, out of the lumber yard, I'll always, because I have it on the back of my truck, research flat earth. And so I'll always, to the security guy, I'll be like, you do that yet? And like, you get different reactions from everyone, but it gives me an idea of how this world has heard about it. And this world is realizing that, well, maybe that, is not so dumb. And a lot of people are believing it, which is awesome, I think.
Yeah. Hey, let me get both of y'all's opinion real quick. What do you prefer to call it? True Earth or flat Earth?
I used to think flat earth was like a stigmatism kind of, but now it's not. I mean, 5 years ago, I would have had a different answer. I'd have been like, oh yeah, well, true earth sounds better, this and that. But
yeah,
flat earth, it grabs people's attention now. They want to talk to a flat earther. If they've never met one, they're like, what are these people? Why are there so many of these people all of a sudden? What do you guys
know when
I don't know?
Nathan Thompson used to walk around saying to people, have you ever met a flat earther? And they'd shake their hand. It's your first one then, whatever, like that. I think it's awesome. And I think when people disagree, it's awesome too. If they disagree, that just means they're actually thinking about it, hopefully.
I was, here's the thing is I had a change of heart, right? Because I said, well, I wanted to kind of deplatform these trolls. I said, I'm going to start going with True Earther but I watched Karen B last night, and she had me rethinking everything, because she's like, you're not taking a stand for anything, because true earth could mean globe earth, right? You could be, and I just hadn't thought it from her standpoint, right? She brought up, she introduced me to another perspective, right? Which is true earth just doesn't make a stand. It really doesn't. Like you're just not making a stand with it. So
it ain't gonna make people laugh at you.
Yeah. So, I think I'm going to remain a flat earther. I had thought about changing to true earther, right? But I think I am going to remain a flat earther.
And you know me, I love the trigger words. I'll say them. I'll say whatever if I'll get someone's attention. So you guys, you know what? Okay, my idea of TikTok is totally different right now than it was just a few days ago. So I've been live streaming the moon through my telescope on TikTok, and not all the time, but quite a bit, and just talking about whatever. You know what I talk about, and the other night. I don't know what day it was, like the 2nd or 3rd or something like that. I was in the middle of a stream, like I think it was 32 minutes in or something. And then they cut the stream, and it said that my live access was restricted till the 10th, and that whatever was on there was it went against their community guidelines. And I'm like, what? That makes no sense. I'm just sitting there having conversation with the people that were chatting, and everybody that comes in, are you a flat earther? Do you think the earth's flat or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, I know the earth's flat. and if you don't know that, you should look into it, because it's the truth. And it's life-changing truth. Like, it frees you. It sets you free, literally. Sets you free from the things that we were bound by.
There's never been a more truer statement than the truth shall set you free.
I know.
Never.
And
I was
that
a
has so much
slave in my own mind.
Yep.
Because I was an atheist till I was about 32 years old. Well,
and so you've
starting
seen
at 14.
sides.
Yeah, starting at 14.
Yeah,
Once I got into high school and they taught me about evolution and all this stuff about the cosmos and all this, the Bible didn't make sense anymore. It turned into, mythology to me. It was like the gods of Greece and this and that. That's how I saw it after that. And then when I was 32, I found the Fibonacci sequence, and it changed everything. I was like,
You're
that
like
is
thinking,
the thumbprint
this is different
of the creator right there. It's in everything. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there's this thumbprint, this marking. And I was like, whoa. And that
did you ever see those Mandelbrot sets?
Yeah. Oh,
Whereas
yeah.
you keep zooming in, and you keep getting even looks like elephants walking around and stuff. You get, man, those are super cool too. That'll make you think.
Shout out Bob in the chat.
Hey, Bobo. Yeah, Bob was a big inspiration for me too.
Me too. I think Bob was a big inspiration for a lot of people.
Is that Globebusters? Is that Bob?
Yeah.
Bob's got to come on. Man, I'd love to have him on my show. That would be awesome.
I remember Bob talking on, I don't know what it was on. I'm sure it was on Jaronism's channel or something. This is years ago. This is like, this was before I even went to that international conference at Denver is where I went in 2018. This was before that even. And Bob, it must have been on
I've
Globebusters.
seen you.
Is that where I've seen you've seen me?
Knew I've seen you before. I have a thing with faces, and I was like, dude, I know this guy.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there with a couple other people, right?
I went there alone. I just,
were you hanging out with a couple people? I think
Yep.
there was like a group of 4 guys walking around, and you were one of them.
Could be.
I was at the door. I was working the door, and I just remember.
Okay, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people I was hanging out with. But yeah, that was a good time. But Bob it wasn't there, but it was like just probably on a normal Globebuster show before that, on a Sunday or something. And Bob was talking for a couple minutes, and I think John the Morgal was on the same, and Jaron was on there too. But it was what Bob said that just, and I have the clip somewhere on my channel. I put it on my channel, but it was the most inspiring thing to me. And it was it was like a drone just slowly. The footage was just like a drone like flying over these like kind of like nature or whatever, like in the kind of between some mountains and stuff. But the stuff Bob was saying in there, like you know how you get a smell, you smell something, you're like, whoa, that brought me back, or you taste something that, whoa, that brought me back. Every time I like hear Bob's voice, I get that. I'm like, oh, that brings me back, because that was so inspiring to me. And I right now I don't even remember it specifically exactly what he was saying, but just the things Bob was saying, that's one of those things. Some of the people that are, in this subject matter, whether it's a channel or just a person on Facebook or whoever, some of the people have had profound effects on like thousands and thousands of people's lives. Like Rob Skiba, that's one. Like so many people have this special place in their heart for Rob and what he did.
Well, yeah, I think we all know the truth.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in all of us. Even though we've forgotten so much of it, when we hear it again, it like strikes this chord inside of us. And we know that that's the truth. It's just this intuition that this person, what they're saying to me right now, this is real. This is like the truth. Yeah. We know it.
You just reminded me of what Jesus said, something about being in remembrance to you or something. Like how did he word that? He said something like, you've been with me from the beginning, like from the foundation of the world. And like maybe we are and don't have thoughts of that in this, we started this life, and then he brings things to our remembrance, truth. When we hear it, we know it's truth, and there's something profound about it.
When I heard about, the whole, there are no forests on flat Earth, or there are no trees. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That rang so true to me, because since I was a young child, I've had dreams of whole cities built up in these gigantic trees, where I'd be looking out over like the ledge and I could see, it was almost like being up in a plane. We were probably like 10,000 feet elevation. And
like trees that went all the way up to the sky.
Yeah, we were living in the tree. Like it would take you, some time to go and walk around this tree. Like the whole city was up in the tree. It
was like carved out of the tree or something, or like.
Well, we were like on the branches. We just were on the branches. There was like little platforms all along. There was cloth walls. And I just remember being able to see out there and see forever. Like I was up just so high. And I've had this dream multiple times. It wasn't one dream.
Oh, really?
This is like
recurring?
Reoccurring. I've had this dream so many times. Like I've been there and I go there all the time still. It's crazy.
Then there's Devil's Tower just sitting out there in the middle of the... I'm always looking at that. I look at the bottom of it and I look at those like roots. I don't know what you call it. The bark, whatever it is. Like they're curved at the bottom. Like they grew there. They had to have grown that way. There's no way that, because that's another conversation I've had with my dad quite a few times. Like, what is that thing? And then it's these like octagon shaped pillars, and people climb up them, and they're massive. And I'm like, I said, I'm a woodworker my whole life. My dad is too. But just knowing how seeing so many trees and just knowing how something comes up out of the ground, rock doesn't come up out of the ground like that, guys. I think that tree's like petrified, some special like giant tree that used to exist, and it's like petrified.
Well, have you seen the crosscuts, the cross sectionals of trees that show that biological hexagonal or octagonal?
What do they call that? They call those basalt columns or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what they call those?
Yeah.
I have pictures of flowers.
Is that trees?
Zoomed in so much on the pollen that the pollen, if you look at it, it's hexagonal shaped.
Okay.
I think that's why bees build their nests in a hexagonal thing, because this would fit like perfectly in there. But yeah, pollen even. When you zoom in on it real close and you can actually see each individual piece of pollen, it's a hexagonal shape.
Kind of
and
like photons when you see each individual photon.
and it's spread out in the Fibonacci sequence. These
Okay, so
hexagon. It looks like that. Yeah, it's
yeah, that it's
Y'all
like
just go ahead, keep talking.
those those basalt columns are something else because they're not really attached to each other, are they? They're kind of like
well,
individual.
there's like gaps in between them.
Yeah.
It's
So
really weird.
how would that? The
Well, I
only
know
thing I could
lava.
imagine is it grew that way.
Well,
But
lava, if it's given enough time, Cammy taught me this. You know, when
okay,
lava freezes real quickly, it's gonna look molten and like it's in that shape. But if it has a chance to just sit there for a really long time and be, you know, have the temperature slowly dissipate somehow,
is
then
it smoother?
well, it will form in actual like octagonal basalt column shapes. It
Okay,
will. That's why Devil's Tower, I don't know. It definitely
I don't know.
does. Looks like a tree. It rings true. But since Cammy has shown me all this other stuff, even like mushrooms
Almost like how a
grow
crystal
in
forms
this.
something.
Yes, crystals. Yeah,
Okay,
it's lava finishing out its crystalline
and when it
form.
sits there, it actually gets that shape.
Yeah, it
Wow.
just takes enough time. It's like baking a cake. If you don't give it enough time, you're going to have a lump of whatever, you know? But if you give it that time, it's going to rise and form across the top and be nice and flat and perfect. So
Yeah.
yeah, if nature, when crystals are growing, if they have enough time, they can get enormous, huge.
Like
There's
those ones
actually one in
underground.
Ohio. Yeah, you can. The biggest geode in the world is in Ohio, right off the coast. Either Huron or Erie, I forget which one it is. I think it's Erie. But yeah, there's a little island out there, and you actually walk through the geode. That's how big it is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, where do you live? I live in a giant geode. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of the Sage Wall in Montana?
Mm-mm.
No.
I just heard about this yesterday. I was watching YouTube videos, and there is a giant monolithic wall. Looks like Machu Picchu type stuff in Montana. Never heard of this thing. It's huge.
Sage?
The Sage Wall in Montana. There's like a state park there. It's not like it's hidden information or hidden knowledge. I've never even heard of it
I
until the
haven't
other
either.
day. But it's huge. Like the stones used, some of them are bigger than the ones that were used to build the pyramids.
Oh,
These
so
are just
like it's something built.
yeah. Oh,
It's like a
well, that's the funny part is the
how
scientists are claiming that well, they think it's natural, but they can't figure out how. And you look at one picture and you know right away that this is not natural. The blocks are all stacked, they all fit together. There's even parts where they're like cut out in these V's every so often to let channels they're not sure what it's for. And it's like two walls, the big ones are right next to each other with a big gap in the middle. And some
do
of
they
the
kind of
boulders
serve a
have
purpose
fallen
or
off. They're not sure what it is. I mean, it's a
don't know?
huge though. I mean, the walls, you step on them, they're like 5 feet wide. And then at least some of them, some
Weird.
parts are like 15 feet, 20 feet tall. And
Well, Christopher
I'm looking at
Columbus
it now. Yeah.
discovered this place, right? That's why we had that's why we had what is it? African Indians or something? Never mind.
Oh, so they want to
we
say
have
that's
such a-
natural?
They're trying to say that's natural. Is that not ridiculous?
That's megalithic, man. That's definitely
100%,
megalithic. There's
but they
no.
can't.
I think
They
Giants
can't
did a
explain
lot
it.
of it. I think Giants did a lot of it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
me too.
I think
I
so.
do.
Like some of those, like some of the stones that fit perfectly together, like almost like you'd have a hard time even getting them in place because they'd be like keys, Those seem to me like that's like something supernatural almost, or like some kind of magic or something that to be able to. I mean, those things are. And then how old are they? And they haven't moved. Well, that's probably why they made them that way. Or
I was
however
watching a
they were made.
spider today, right? I had scared it a little bit, and I'm looking down on the ground, and I just started thinking, how many of these have I killed just walking by? You know, what if humans, that was a human size, and what if there was something one time that was the size of me compared to that, if that was human size? You know,
That'd
a
be crazy.
giant that large. What
Well, I mean, what?
It wouldn't even know if it came through and stepped on your
Yeah.
city and destroyed it. It wouldn't have a clue
Yeah.
what it just did.
Some
Well,
of
you know,
those giants that Enoch described were huge.
It says in the Bible,
Are you-
3,000 L's, right? And an
Yeah.
L, there's two measurements for an L. One is a cubit and one's a cubit plus a hand, right? So
All of a sudden,
Well, Adam and
Devil's
Eve,
Tower don't look so huge.
90 feet tall, supposedly, 30 cubits.
Yeah.
That's crazy
So,
to think.
yeah.
oh, so
And,
here's a funny one. I got a funny one about cubits. So this is another one in Zechariah chapter 5. He's with this angel, and this angel's showing him stuff, and the angel says, or he said, maybe he told him to look, but it's right at the beginning of Zechariah 5, and he said that he looked and behold a flying roll. The length of it was, I can't remember, and the width of it was whatever in cubits. So, and then I put that on a video or whatever, and then someone commented on the channel, that seems too short to be a rocket or whatever. Like, because I think he's describing something, I think he's just describing what we call rockets today. But so then they said however many cubits by however many cubits, and then I was like, oh yeah, that doesn't sound quite right. And so I looked up how far it was or whatever, and it was like the exact same size as the Dragon capsule in height and width. It was like just a 2 or 3 feet off. So I commented, I'm like, here's some interesting info, but there's so much weird stuff about rockets. There's the prophets, I think, saw these things and didn't know what they were, but they saw them going up and doing things to the sky. Scary.
Yeah, I just called them by different names. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
like
so much
chariots or wagons
physics.
or
Yeah, there's so much physics in the Bible.
there
when it's
is.
broken down. It's amazing. It really is.
When God came down, or the Ancient of Days came down in Daniel's vision in Daniel 7, he had his chariot that he came on it had like, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it had like a shooting flame that came out from it, or like I can't remember exactly the wording, but it's kind of weird that what rockets are even. Like, they don't even have wings. It's like they're only kind of for one purpose, I think. And we've all been thinking, yeah, we're going to space. It's the future. Oh, I got to look up something too that Thomas showed me today.
Yeah, that wall is wild, isn't it? I want to go see that sage wall. Oh, I'm not hearing you, Bobby.
Isaiah. Are you muted?
Yeah, I
Bobby?
was talking in the mute. Yeah, sorry about that. I was saying I was looking for something as well. But yeah, I'll make time to go see that for sure. That sage wall.
Well, since Zach said about physics in the Bible, Brenda she gave the other side, the opposing info there. Very clear.
Imagine that. Yeah.
There is no physics or science in the Bible. What are you talking about?
No,
So here's an interesting verse that Thomas Morgan sent me on text message today. Isaiah 8:22. And they shall look unto the earth and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. Maybe on a rocket. This world is heading to, well, that's what it said, that the dragon, that he would gather as many as the sand of the sea or something to go against God Almighty. Like, are we in Armageddon or something?
I like
Like,
to say that this is the apocalypse happening right now, which
I think
a
you're
lot of
right.
people think it's a bad thing, the apocalypse. Oh, it's horrible. Well, it's only a bad thing if you're a liar and a deceiver.
And a sinner, like
Yeah, because the apocalypse just means that all truths will be revealed.
and a
Everything
sinner,
hidden is going to come out.
a sinner is like something. After I read the book of Enoch, I tied the idea of being a sinner to the idea of denying heaven, like not believing in heaven, and and that meaning not believing in God and His throne either. But like in Enoch 80, it says that the whole order of the stars would be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth would err concerning them, the stars. And I'm
Imagine
like,
that.
it just says sinners, and I'm just saying, I think we were all sinners, like big time. Didn't know it. We were born into this status, and now is our chance to get to repent, like to realize that we've been denying God and His throne and the truth about this entire creation.
Well, yeah,
And
we weren't actually sinning. It's all about intent, right? We weren't
I
intentionally
think
sinning.
so.
We
We were
just didn't
taught
know
to.
any better. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
There
once
was
that's
no
the thing
other way. Yeah.
sinning is once you learn that what you may have believed could be false.
Then
I
you just
mean,
have
I
to
think
turn
it's a
around.
sin not to pursue further, to find the truth. That's your
Mm-hmm.
sin that you committed, you know,
Yep.
by just taking man's word for it and not searching, within and this place, this realm that we've
Just
been given.
creation.
Yeah, if you want the truth, it's out there. I mean, no man can give you the truth. Now, they can tell you something that is true, but you will never know it to be true until you actually go and do it yourself. Until then, it's just a belief.
Yep. Like curvature.
Well, that's
A
why I
lot of
went and
people
bought
believe
all
in it.
the scientific equipment and all my little testing stuff because I didn't want to believe Walter Lewin, MIT physics professor. I saw him doing all these demonstrations and I was like, man, that is cool. But is that I've seen magicians do some cool things where cards just appear out of nowhere.
And then
And
by
that,
doing it, you learn 10 times more than you even learned from
10
Walter
times
Lewin,
more.
you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
once you
Tammy, she
do it,
taught you too, I'm sure.
oh,
Like
so
you learn
much.
a lot from
Yeah.
her.
Bob, Tammy,
She's
yeah.
opened my eyes to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's like always it's a science lecture here every day that someone's given on something we've just learned or something we got to share with each other or yeah. This whole community really, it's not just this household. It's an amazing community. It's like when someone finds something, they want to share it. Nobody in
Yep.
this community covets the truth and is
No.
hiding it from others and saying, "Ooh,
No,
I know
once
this
you
and I'm going
find
to
it, you
use it."
got to tell everyone.
Yeah, scream
It's
it
like
from the mountaintops,
we got it written on our cars. We got tattoos and whatever.
Yeah, it's the first thing that made me want to try to explain this to people that we're being deceived. I mean, so many things that have come before, have been swept away. I can't go to where certain events have taken place. We all know what the names of all these different events are, right? All these false flags or whatever we want to call them.
Whatever they are, yeah.
I can't go there and go through the rubble and find the truth and the answers. It's already been swept away.
Yep.
I can't go and record it and watch it again with my own eyes and my own video and then analyze it. I can't do that. So I never had the urge because I've never been able to show people with my own stuff, but this is right beneath our feet. They can't hide this from us. They can't sweep this away. They can
when you have
only
a conversation with someone about this hits me the most, more than curvature or anything. It's the ground beneath us is still. It does not move unless ask the people in Turkey. There's earthquakes, but the ground is always solid and stationary. We all count on that. We build foundations of our houses on it. Your house doesn't move. Your house doesn't rotate. That now Brenda's in the chat, of course, and I'll just say, Brenda, the earth is not rotating. Try to find evidence of it rotating. And not, I don't mean like a pendulum or something. I'm saying actual evidence that the earth is rotating, because it's not.
Well, it's amazing that they won't give on a single, on one single argument, right? That they won't concede on one, as if, how can we be so completely polar opposite, right? Like, I've never understood that, when there's, that whole saying that, you have eyes to see, I think some people don't, I brought that up several times, and I know one of my friends hates hearing it, but some people just don't have eyes to see. They just can't see it no matter how hard they try.
I got a verse that might speak to that, but I got to find it. So I'll look for it here.
Yeah, I think there's those that have eyes to see, those that don't, and then those that refuse to see. Those that have the ability to see it, but would rather choose not to. People that are intelligent, they have, the intellect to grasp what you're saying, but it's so disturbing to their psyche.
Yeah.
That they just know.
I'm like, can't you just admit it works both ways? At a worst case scenario, right? Like, I understand your science, right? I get it. I get what you're saying. I get how you're saying gravity works. We get that. None of us have a problem with the understanding of what you're saying, right? But they would just want to completely dismiss our argument. Like, and it's hilarious to me. I can't get over it.
Well, yeah, it's such a silly standpoint to stand by, because
Matthew 13.
13.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's gone. Man, I've been doing this so long, the thoughts just
I think I got a delay going.
Go. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one friend that
it says when any or
yeah, you do have a delay there, Joe. I'm thinking.
I'm going to jump out and jump back in.
All right.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear a little robot too coming out of his voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one friend who will look at anything I send him. Anything. He'll look at the whole thing, but he just will not concede that it could possibly work that way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's like kills me.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting journey since, well, even years before, since I found the creator. I gotta say, life has gotten pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It just changed everything. And
I
didn't find it through, the book or anything like that. I found it through physics, through science.
Yeah.
And that's what
same.
Just
Same.
blew my mind.
Right? Like first, I was an atheist my whole life. I never believed in God. I always thought my friends were nuts when they were kids, and they're like, they believe in God. And we never really talked about it or anything. I was like, that's cool. You can. And then 5 or so years, 6 years ago, whatever, I realized there was a creator. And then it's just a matter of tracking down the creator. Right. And that was easy for me.
I love that, Bobby. You guys can hear me okay now? I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I think my computer is a little slow, but Bobby, your story about your mom telling you about flat earth, that's refreshing to me. That's like, that really makes me excited for some reason, that you learned about it from your mom, and you're like, that's just so cool. No one else can say that almost.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And my mom, I don't remember my mom being religious, right? Like I don't remember her ever reading the Bible. I don't remember, I don't recall her being religious, right? None of my parents were teaching me the Bible or anything. And, then she found it was the same journey for her. She found flat earth, and then she became religious, and then she challenged me. And sure enough, next thing you know, I'm walking the same road.
So awesome. So awesome. Yeah. Like that just makes me grin with a big smile. So about what you were saying before, like, how can we be like such polar opposites, or even like polar opposites of what we used to be ourselves? It made me think of this verse as Matthew 13 verse 19. And this is, I mean, this has, it's kind of deep, but it says, when anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside, in the parable of the sower. So it says the wicked one. I think it maybe says the devil in another version, but he comes and snatches it away out of their heart if it doesn't take root. So that's kind of scary. Like, think of the first time that you heard about it. If you would have just said nah, and then there's something happening, you know, beyond our comprehension that just made you not want to look again. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing. I tried to teach my kids in the last 5 years, right? And one of them's today 30 and the other one's 20. So I tried to reach out to one at 25 and one at, 15, 16, whatever. And they won't even talk to me. They don't want to hear about it. They're embarrassed about the whole thing. They won't even let me give them a presentation.
They just don't want to hear about it.
They won't even hear my side of the argument. That's the amazing part, right? Like, it's like, man,
and then they got to crack into you. Are you okay, Dad? Are you going through something, right? Something like that.
No, they don't even. So it gets worse than that.
Do that.
They won't even come to my house. They won't come see me. They won't I became a flat earther and they cut them, they
kind of the same boat.
Off.
I was pretty much blackballed. I'm the crazy nut job. But one ray of hope, my little brother, after 7 years, didn't tell me, but he told my mom. I think Zach might be right about this whole flat earth thing. One second, my dog's rearing
That's
up.
awesome. That's awesome. Just because people are not forgetting, like, and that's, I think, part of being a witness, like, for all this time. Like, when I talked to my dad about it, I'm like, because I still talk to him about it. I don't want to be where I'm like a thorn in his side, but we do have conversations about it, like civil conversations about it that are, I would say, productive. But he would say, no, you're not getting through to me at all, but I know that I do. Like, I know that he hears the things that I'm saying and he thinks about them. And I think that's all I'm supposed to do. But just to also, you guys keep bringing up things that the Savior said. Like I'm just saying he said we'd be hated for his name's sake. And I'm just like, and he said the world will hate you. Yeah.
When I'm glad about this though. When I was an atheist, I never trolled flat earthers, right? Like, I don't, maybe they weren't around then. I don't know. I don't think I ever would have been, that never would have been my cup of tea, right?
I never trolled anybody.
I know.
I wouldn't have trolled anyone.
It just wouldn't have been my cup of tea though. Like, I was always a for lack of better words, right, a good human being, right? Like, I
would troll people on the basketball court, but that was enough. Larry Bird taught me that. You get under people's
there you
skin.
Go.
You talk trash. You get them off their game. I would do stuff like that, but I didn't consider that trolling. That was trash.
That's
talking.
Sports.
Yeah, that's sports.
Like sports and being young.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, grown adults that come on here and just, they lay into my channel all day long. I just sit there and I sit there and I delete the comments now. Now I don't care. I was, at first I wasn't sure. And now I'm just like, troll. I wish they had something I wish I could send a message though when I do it, because I want to send that Owen Benjamin blocked for life. Like, I want them to know you're blocked for life. You're blocked for life. You're blocked for life.
Well, that's another thing he said they would scourge you in their synagogues. Think about when you bring up flat earth in a church, what happens to you? See ya.
Yeah.
I mean, that, like, all these things, this is one of the things that, like, I've realized over these recent years, is that when I read, like, the Gospels, when I read those words are significant today to us. And if a person, I mean, you can read it as if it's a history story and something that happened and has no meaning, like, deeper than that. But if you start like considering some of the things that we're experiencing and we're learning, it's almost as if he is our teacher, and we're following him around, trying to learn what he's trying to teach us. And like Zachary was saying about going at it like a child, like we need to relearn. We need throw everything out and start from scratch and start learning the truth. You know what I mean? Because everything that we've learned is a lie.
That's the one thing there's some people in the community that want to make like new words and new phrases. There has been so much testing and observations done by people that spent their whole lives, decades and decades and decades on one topic. And it's all out there. We don't have to rewrite it. We should test it to make sure what they say is true. But I'm not in this to have my name in a history book in 100 years. I could care less about anything like that. Let's just show people the work that's already been done, show them that we've recreated what the observations they've made, and show them that they can do this themselves.
Yeah.
I mean,
and with the technology that we have in our modern
so much
society,
easier.
we can do so much more. We can learn so much more even than these things that have, like you're saying, just basically need to be verified and repeated because they're already there, a lot of them, you know?
Well, yeah, look at a Foucault pendulum or a Foucault gyroscope, right? Back in the day, nobody had access to a gyroscope. No common person had access to a gyroscope. Now, I mean, there's two in this household now. Bob has one, I have one, you know, that we had gotten before we had even met each other. But they're accessible now. We can go and test and see if Foucault was telling the truth. And we found out that he wasn't, you know? Even when he did the observation live in front of people, it didn't pick up the rotation. It didn't move. Oh, well, it's moving compared to the stars, but it didn't move. It's right there.
The stars are what's
moving. Yeah.
It's measuring what's moving, the stars. And they happen to be moving 15 degrees an hour about. So I don't see what's so difficult. We don't need to know the mechanism of how that works, but we clearly can say, yes, those are moving at this rotation, and you can look at your ring laser gyroscope and it'll give you the same reading.
Yeah, that's the one that really
blows
put
my
the nail in the coffin for me. When we went up onto Pikes Peak, it was 14,125 feet up. It's a different world up there. But yeah, we were up there taking the measurements, and then Chris went out, same latitude east, and it was well over I think it was close to 2 degrees difference.
Wow.
And that just right there was like
that says a whole lot.
That was huge to me. That was just and to get to be a part of it, you know, to actually see it being done. And thank you, Bob. Thanks. Exactly. Yeah, that was his idea.
Go down in history right there.
And you know that just backs up what the mechanical gyroscopes told us, right? Because you take gyroscopes out of airplanes, and you can prove, just like Rob Durham has done and John Savage, and you can prove that they're accurate to 15 degrees. You can put them on a mechanism that turns at 15 degrees an hour, and it reads exactly 15 degrees an hour. And then you put it on a stationary table or whatever, it doesn't move at all.
You can do a 7-day rotation where it rotates once in 7 days, and it'll pick up that rotational spin.
Yeah. So
it's not even a question.
Yeah.
You just have to go hop onto Venus to do that for the 7-day road. No, I'm just kidding. The stuff we were taught about the sky it could probably be summed up with the Truman Show when he's in the class and he's like, I want to be an explorer or whatever. And the teacher's like, sorry, there's nothing left. You know, like that's what we were taught. We were taught we know everything. We know everything. We go to space, Star Trek and stuff, you know, we'll be real in a few years. And like, to grow up, you know, for me, when I was born, they already landed on the moon. I was born in 1977. They already landed on the moon. And when we were little kids, we were playing, you know, I don't specifically remember playing and landing on the moon, but I'm sure I did with some kids, you know, play, we're going to go on the moon mission, or, you know, who knows? They got it on Sesame Street. Like these things are so wrong. Yeah, I made a video with that. I took that one time and made a video where I put the KJV Bible in did a little CGI and put the KJV Bible in his hand. He's like, Earth. He's like, no.
Yeah, they're good at what they do. You got to
I
give
did.
them credit where credit is due. The deception runs deep. It is very well thought out. Everything about it has been
The
really
devil
well
is-
thought out.
The devil is because like we're starting to be able to see who the devil is. You know what I mean? Like for years now, we've been able to see who the devil is and how, like, we can tell. Like me and Bobby have talked about it. We don't know the elite or the source of this deception. We don't know how that works. We don't. We know it's there though.
Hmm.
So whatever a person can find themselves content, like I know Jeranism says a lot. I'm okay with not knowing that, whatever it is, whatever he's talking about, like things that before he felt that he should know what causes this or what causes that, and or what this actually is. And then he says, I'm okay not knowing that. I don't think it's something that to know really. I think that that's a good stance to take when you can basically, it's a personal inside decision you make where you say, well, I mean, do I really know how far away Polaris is? No, I know what it does in the sky. I know what I see it doing and observe it doing. But other than that, it's a star. It's
to say
a light,
is being disingenuous. It really
and
is.
dishonest.
Yeah.
It really is. If we say it's so many light years away because of parallax or whatever, that's no. Hey, Zach, we should talk about stellar parallax.
Yeah, James Bradley, 28 or 32, something like that, way back when. They've known forever.
And
this was the Astronomer Royale that came out.
So where do you get where do you if we're gonna do some stellar parallax measurements? As I actually talked to Astronomy Live about this a little bit. Okay, where would we go to do it? Some observatory, right?
Yeah, it would have to be an observatory.
Okay, so we let's drive there right now in our let's do a mind exercise. We get in my car, I pick up Good Times for All and Bobby T, and we're driving there. Okay, Bobby says, take a left here, you're gonna miss the driveway. So I take a left. Okay, let's find a parking spot. Okay, we find the parking spot. We go in, we do all of our measurements, we get our observations done, and then we're gonna do that again in like 6 months, right? So I pick up Zachary and I pick up Bobby and we get in the truck. I'm like, man, you guys remember 6 months ago when we did this? This is gonna be great. And I almost missed the turn again. Bobby's like, turn, you're gonna miss the turn, And so I whip in there. We park in even the same parking spot, and yet all three of us are gonna have some sort of like no problem with saying that somehow that parking spot that we parked in is actually 186 million miles away from the last time we parked there. Stellar parallax is a joke. The stars move. It's simple. The stars move in their positions in the sky. That's so simple.
Well, yeah, and the fact that some of them, like stellar parallax, they don't all do it at the same time. It's like groups of stars. It's very small and minute. I think it's like 0.02 arc seconds, not even degrees. It's a very small amount, but they'll move every year for like 3-4 years. They jump forward a little bit in the sky compared to other stars that are over here.
Yeah.
So the stars are actually, they're getting closer to each other. But then on the 4th, 5th year, maybe these stars that were moving forward will jump back to where they previously, it'll be like a -8, -6, or 0.06, 0.08, all the way. It's like fixing your watch. It's like taking, your pocket watch and, I'm off a minute. I need to back it up just a hair. And that's what's going on in the sky. Some stars do it this year. Some stars will do it next year. Others, how can that be happening on a spinning ball? They should all do it at the exact same time if it has to do with Earth's rotation.
Yep. And then, now you were just saying, you just made me think of Enoch 18 again, when it was like he described the solar system. He was saying that those 7 wandering stars, that they were they were, how did he word it? Not circling and not orbiting, not rotate. What did he say? They were going around the fire. They were, because God bound them there or whatever, and they were rolling over the fire. That's what he said. And I'm just thinking of the solar system going, he's literally telling us that the solar system is a prison for these stars. And we know where that is. This bottomless pit is not a good place. And so like what NASA's doing is exactly what Lucifer does. It is what he says in his heart. I will ascend into heaven. I will set my space station up there above the stars of God. Like that, they're doing exactly what Lucifer does. SpaceX and all these space exploration companies. Whether even, here's the other thing too, like the landing rockets, I think that they really physically do have this rocket come down out of the sky. A lot of people think it's totally fake or whatever, but we're all on the same page. It's a deception. It's a lie that's happening. It's a lie. And I think that to try to define it too far, we could find ourselves getting confused, like trying to, figure out what the vacuum of space is. It's water, it's this, it's that. Well, what if we just said it's celestial? That would probably explain all of it. Like if we just said it's spiritual or whatever, it's part of heaven. We don't have those kind of physics here on earth or whatever, even if they are physics, whatever heaven is.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's too many people out there that, it's sad, but even people who claim to be Christian, but they follow the word of man instead of what's written in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that drove me nuts when I first found the Creator and found all this stuff out. Especially way back when, I got a lot of pushback from Christians. I thought they'd be the easiest, because it's in the Bible. It's right here. I'm agreeing with you.
You thought they'd be like, finally, you're with us.
Yeah, I was the insane one for believing the book that they've been telling me to believe in my whole life. And now that I'm agreeing with you,
synagogues.
Yeah. And it made me realize, wow, people, so many people don't actually read the book. They go to church. A lot of it's
weird
social
stuff gets said
structure.
At church.
A lot of it, and most of it's, they break out this verse out of this and this one out of this. It's never, hey, we're going to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we're going to read through everything and we'll explain it word for word.
And try to understand what is actually being, being written.
My grandma, her whole life, Roman Catholic, devout. 3 times a week she went to church. Never had a Bible. Never owned a Bible in her life because that wasn't part of the Roman Catholic religion. She
didn't need
the
it.
Bible to you.
Like she didn't need it.
That's how it is in that church, I guess.
Yeah.
Or at least it was. The people didn't get to have a Bible. You didn't have a family Bible. You would go to the priest and then they would interpret the Bible so you got it the right way.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it wasn't that she didn't want a Bible in the house.
Yeah.
That was not how
it just wasn't
the
normal.
Church did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of it. You came
I have
to
to say we are blessed to have Bible Hub and Bible Gateway and Blue Letter Bible and like eSword. I'm just saying we have so many resources to study and learn not only the scriptures, but it's the same with like optics. We have optics that no one would ever dreamed of having. And we study these videos that we can watch. We can take and pause a video of like looking across the lake and we can study and analyze it. We can try to figure everything out about it. We couldn't do that 10 years ago like we can now. And also instant worldwide communication. I don't know where you guys are. I'm in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? We're having a conversation. How long have we been able to do this? 10 years? Not even, almost like 10 years consistently, I'd say. Maybe a little more. But the times we're in, like all this technology is helping us to learn the truth. It's showing us the truth in some ways.
I learned an interesting fact today. There's some type of mammal down in South America. It's the biggest marsupial on Earth, biggest rodent. I forget the name of it. It looks like a big giant guinea pig almost, but they're like 3
Oh,
feet
I
long,
think I
2
know what
feet
you're
long.
talking about. Yeah. I don't know what they're like, a big gopher kind of looking
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Well, the Roman Catholic Church, according to them, that's a fish.
Oh, nice. Furry fish.
Because on Friday, is Lent, and you're not supposed to eat meat on Lent
Okay.
except for
So,
fish.
yeah. Yep.
But the people loved eating these things so much
Well, then
that
it's fish.
the guy asked the Pope if he could name this animal a fish, and to this day, the Roman Catholic Church calls this thing a fish.
I wonder if Adam was okay with that. Like, Adam
Well, see,
at the beginning.
my mom was raised Roman Catholic, just like my grandmother. She went to Catholic school, all that stuff. But then as she grew up, she saw all these changes in the church being made. I mean, when she was a child eating anything but fish, any other type of meat on Friday, you're going to hell.
That's why they always
That's a
have the fish fry.
hell-worthy trespass.
Like on Friday, they always have the fish fry or whatever, right?
And then,
Yeah.
they were losing numbers, so they did away with that one. And it was the same thing with divorces. Divorces used to be a no-no, taboo. In the
Yeah,
Roman
maybe we'll have
Catholic
better
Church.
luck on Sunday. Let's switch to Sunday. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
it's just crazy. She said she couldn't believe how much they were changing with the times. She didn't know that religion did that. To meet the needs of the people, a religion would change to keep its congregation at larger
Yeah.
numbers.
That seems like one of the, and that was like to be approved by Rome, kind of, right?
Mhm.
Like to be supported by Rome. But that you just reminded me of David Weiss, his interview with Ruth, and how she was saying that when she was in elementary school that they taught her that the earth was flat. And then when she got, however, she couldn't remember exactly how old, but like in high school or whatever, at some point they switched it. They started telling her it was a globe. And like, that's crazy. Like, even if it was only that long ago, she was 102, I think. And so, I mean, like, whatever, close to 100 years ago, were they really that level-headed? I think that's awesome if they were. But I mean, I think a lot of people didn't believe in the globe all the time that the globe has existed. I think there's been a lot of people that are like, no, like a lot of people about the moon landing, they're like, no. My buddy the other day, we were seeing a clip or something, and he just goes, no way. Like you could just see through it. And I think that is, I believe that that's something supernatural myself.
Well, I got to say, it looked a lot better in 480p.
Yeah.
Once we went to the high def, a lot of the moon landing footage.
But with the Artemis, like you've seen this egg-shaped moon thing, like that was horrible imagery or whatever you want to call it. Like that, if you were to compare that with what they did in Apollo's put that to shame. I'm saying as far as images and like the realism of it, or the perceived realism
Kubrick, of it. One of the greatest visual directors.
Yeah, that's a lot of people say, that he was involved in that whole thing. He could have done better backdrops. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think one of his movies, Capricorn 1, I think it was called. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think so.
It's a Stanley Kubrick movie. You got to go watch this.
I didn't know it was Stanley Kubrick.
Tomorrow. Yeah, Capricorn 1, and it's all about a fake
Mars
trip to Mars, not the moon.
Oh,
they did Mars instead. They tell the astronauts right before they're going to get into the shuttle, hey guys, or no, not right before, maybe a few days before.
So that they couldn't like leak it out.
Yeah, they go and show them the set and say, this is where you're going to be. It was out in the middle of the desert somewhere.
Yep, on lockdown or whatever.
Yeah, they were like, you're gonna walk into the, the capsule, but then you're gonna go down this tube and you come out down here and we're gonna take you to this place. We have to fake it because something happened and we can't get there, but we spent all this money and they're gonna cut our funding if we don't go right now, so we have to fake it, yada yada yada. One of the astronauts definitely isn't having it. Yeah, it's
And then you watch the press conference after Apollo 11, and you're like, what's going on with these dudes?
They look like they just got caught beating someone's dog on video.
I think like what if if you were, let's just say that you were an astronaut and supposedly you experienced this whole moon landing, you saw the moon up close, you walked on it, like, and so you're like, yeah, I experienced this, but then all of a sudden you get back to Earth and all this, and what if you got back and you realized none of that was real? Like that was a show, like that was a trick, or that was like you felt something wasn't right about it. And then all of a sudden now you're supposed to do a press conference.
Yeah,
and
well, they knew the whole
sitting
time.
going, we don't even know what's going on. I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like they're probably, who knows?
They
There's
knew
so
they
many
were lying
different
the whole
possibilities.
time, right? You could see it in everything they said and everything they did.
Or maybe they're fallen angels, assuming the form of men.
Well, I don't know. My problem with that is you could see they were feeling guilt. Like I got the impression they were feeling guilt.
Yeah, it sure looked like it. It looked like they made a mistake. What did the stars look like? I don't remember seeing any.
Yeah. And then Neil looked at him like, why'd you say that?
What are you talking for?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the whole thing, whatever it is, I think, well, that's another thing that Jesus said. He said that, I don't remember how he worded it again, but that all the truth would be made manifest or something like that. Like all the truth would be made known at some point in time, like made known. And I'm thinking like, keep going. Let's bring it. I'm ready.
I think it has to come out slowly though.
Yeah.
Because of
for
human
people
beings.
To accept it. Yeah. People have to accept it.
I mean, there's different stages of once you find out you've been lied to like this. And one of those stages is anger.
Yeah.
And we don't want 1 billion people mad and angry all at the same time.
Like firing someone on Monday or instead of Friday or whatever.
Yeah, it's just you don't want that. You don't want a mob.
Some people think that the truth is going to come out, right? Like they think that worldwide everyone's, like there's going to be like an admittal essentially, or like basically it just takes over in the world. What are your all's thoughts on that? Like I don't think that day is going to get here, right? Like I believe that something biblical is going to happen before then, right? Like we're the ones that know. But I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's getting out and everyone's going to know. I don't think that day is ever going to get here. There's never going to be any kind of admittal for sure. And I think
everyone's going to hear about it, but I don't think everyone's going to believe it.
Well, that could be now then, because everyone's heard about it, right?
Like you said, I think something biblical is going to happen.
Right. So
I look at that starship and I'm like, that's a good candidate for something wrecking the firmament, doing something damage to the firmament where darkness seeps in and who knows what. It's scary stuff.
Yeah. So this could potentially be critical mass, essentially, right? Like it could be, right?
Well, and then when you think about it, like you were saying about that NASA employee, was she saying 20 to 50 or something percent?
20 to 50% is what she said. Yeah.
And we've heard 11 million Brazilians. And like, all I know is that of all the people that surround me, there's only like throughout all these years, I'm saying that I've been real vocal about it and I've been outspoken about it, that like, I can think of anyone in my family, aunts, uncles, everyone. And I think every one of them knows that I believe this. But here's the thing, how if someone else experiences something that you haven't experienced and they tell you about it and you know that they're just telling you what they experienced, it gives you insight into just the whole thing that they're talking about, like the experience. I mean, you don't have to experience something firsthand to consider it being true. Like I say that this didn't happen because of me. Someone showed me this truth. Like I believe it's supernatural. That's my testimony. Okay. So I give you my testimony and some people will be like, I don't see that to be truth, but hopefully there's something in them that says, but why is he saying that? And I've been consistent this whole time. Like I haven't like changed my thinking at all. And so I'm just hoping that that's like an example where people look and say, man, it's been 8 years he's been saying this. Why this long? And he's still saying the same thing. There's got to be something to it. You know what I mean? Like, I think hopefully with us, like Bob doing Globebusters, and, you know, Bobby, you doing this channel and stuff, it makes people think about things, even if they don't like grab onto them right away. Like Brenda, you never know. I'm just saying, like, that's why I think we're all kind of feel called to be talking about it.
Oh, Capricorn 1 isn't Kubrick. I
a
found
different
Peter Hyams.
Oh, that's Kubrick's first cousin. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? Learning all kinds of stuff tonight.
Yeah. I like making stuff up too. No, I'm just
I don't know.
I'm
why
gonna
I
watch
thought
that
was a
tonight.
Kubrick film. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again too.
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Capricorn 1.
And it wasn't
heard
one
of
of
it.
those that was really. I mean, it's got some good actors in it too. Sam
It's got
Elliott's
OJ.
in it. OJ's in it.
OJ?
Elliot Gould. He's the reporter that
it's got a
discovers
cast.
all this stuff. Hal
cool.
Holbrook. He's an old guy. Been in lots of stuff. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a pretty good movie. It's well done.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it, but I've read about it. You know, tonight will be the night I watch it.
I'm afraid
Yeah, I don't want
can't
to
do that,
spoil
Dave.
too much of it for you. That's why
Yeah.
I'm horrible about that.
I've
Giving
read the
away
premise,
endings
though.
to movies and
I've read the premise.
Quotes from movies.
Back to what you were saying though, Joe. 99% of the people in my friends list, right? It's funny because if I post my daughter, like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I love it,
Yeah,
right?" But
yeah.
as soon as you post Flat Earth, crickets,
They're like,
right?
I didn't see that one.
Right, I
didn't
missed.
see
Oh,
that
really?
one.
I missed it totally.
Yeah.
you know what
But-
though? In their defense, I found this out about Facebook back in 2011 when they passed the NDAA Act. When Obama did that, I was screaming from the rooftops, "Look at what's in this thing! It's insane!" And I would go onto my buddy's Facebook when I was over his house to go show him. I was like, "You didn't see that on my thing?" And I'd go look up my name, and it wasn't there.
TikTok's doing that to me right
Wasn't
now.
on my page at all. Wasn't anywhere to be found.
Huh.
I would pull it up on mine, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I look at his, and there's nothing. So they've been
TikTok,
doing the
like,
censoring for a
slowed my
long time.
views. It's ever since they took my live access, I don't think anyone's watched any of my TikToks. Like the numbers just stay the same the whole time, and I'm like, is my account like blocked or something? I have no idea, but it's weird.
Yeah, could you imagine if they weren't censoring us though? Like what was going on in 2015 and 16? Dude, I would search Flat Earth and it'd just be like I'd have like 4 days of watching. I'd just like, man, just
we
get
could
next.
we could
next.
coin a new phrase for that. I know Zachary was talking about new words and stuff. We don't need it, but I'll call that the Flat Earth good old days. Like that's what that was when you just you're recommended or whatever. Or even like if you had the auto play on, that your next one come up, it'd be like ODD.
Yeah,
it would be like a good one.
You couldn't watch everything back then.
No,
there was so much stuff
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you couldn't keep up with it. There's no that was my goal, and you just couldn't. It was too much.
Now,
One of my
if you search
friends,
Flat Earth today, that's a good way to do it. Just bring
and
up
you
the
can
last 24
hit
hours.
the
That's how I
today
found you, Bobby.
time limit.
Huh? No,
Yeah,
I've never
one of
done
my
that.
friends,
Like literally
Kyle-
Flat Earth today.
No,
Or-
Flat Earth, and
No,
then in
like-
the filters, you can
Oh,
do it for
okay.
the last hour,
Last
today,
24
last
hours
week,
or
last
whatever.
month. Yeah, if you do today, I think it messes with the
Tony's
algorithm a little
Coffee
bit, and you
House.
get more stuff.
Tony's
All right.
Coffee House is a channel. He's a friend of mine, and Thomas knows him, but he's been here too.
Yeah.
Tony's Coffee House. He kind of has made a habit over the years of doing that during live streams in the morning or whatever. He'll do like a lot of Bible studies. I love his channel. But that's something that he did. He would search Flat Earth today or whatever, and he would go through down the list and like, kind of check some of them out. We'll pass that one up. That looks dumb. That, whatever. And he'll kind of go through them and find some good content. And I've just doing that is a good way to find some of the true information, I would say. But it's still hard. It's still, you get a bunch of garbage.
No, the way I was doing it to find new channels is I just go to all the channels that I followed and I would just start going through their channel list, right? And you
Oh,
always
yeah.
find 1 or 2 or 5 in theirs and you
Yep.
know they're good, right? So
Yeah.
that was always a good way to find some as well.
Yeah, and every
Nice.
few months, make sure you find somebody who has a lot of the same ones you do, and go through there and check it out. Because I've been unsubscribed to so many channels.
Me too.
Some of them it was like multiple times in 1 month. I had
And
to
you might just forget
resubscribe to
about it.
somebody.
You
Yeah,
might just
because
forget about
it
it.
doesn't show up in your feed anymore.
Yep.
You're like, I wonder what happened to so and so, and then you
And then
find out
all of a
there's
sudden you talk
15
to someone.
videos that you've
You
missed
talk to someone
because
else
you
and
were
they're like, "Did you
unsubscribed.
see the video that they just made?" You're like, "What? I didn't know they were making videos anymore."
Yep.
And then and you go there and unsubscribe. You're like, I was subscribed here.
I've
you
heard
know?
about that.
And I've been subscribed to all kinds of stuff lately. I'll be looking through my subscriptions like, what channel is this? Why is this showing up on my? And because I know a lot of times people will post something on their, like they'll just post it, not make a video, and I'll get other people's videos that I'm not subscribed to that way. But sometimes it's not even that. I'll go into it and it says I'm subscribed to this person that I've never seen before. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, what's going on with this? Yeah, so I don't know about TikTok anymore. Like, because I was talking about flat Earth, and that when I looked on there today, because I appealed the live access restriction thing. I appealed it. They didn't do nothing. But so I went to look at it and it said it was from misinformation. And I'm like, I was live streaming the moon. So it had to have been what I was saying, or maybe someone flagged it or something. I don't really know how that all works, but I'm sure if someone like said it was like, made a complaint about it, that they might look at it, and I have no idea, but sure seems kind of weird to be taking a live stream of the moon down.
Have you ever seen the guy Praveen Moham? He does India's temples.
I don't think so.
It was an amazing channel. You can't find it now. It's gone. It just got deleted from YouTube.
Oh.
And they said and this guy, cleanest guy ever, just walks around the temples and explains what he's seeing and what he thinks they really are. A lot of them were mechanisms, he thinks, like they served a function, not just a place to go worship, but they did
free
something.
Energy.
Possibly,
Banned.
yeah, stuff like
kidding.
that. And it was for nudity or something like that. And it had to be of a statue.
Like a statue
at a temple in India, which you've seen 1,000 times on 1,000 different channels.
From public sidewalks. Like
yes, and they ban them for that.
Well,
that's dumb.
Have either of y'all seen, do you remember a channel called Wakey?
Oh, yeah.
He had some geology stuff. He had a geology video that had been seen like 4 million times, and they deleted his channel. But I saved that video, and it totally destroys, dating rocks or, dating anything. Right. And, like he could make charcoal in 2 weeks, like where they said it took, millions of years to make charcoal. And they destroyed, and it was all scientists. It was just, a compilation of scientists that just absolutely destroyed mainstream science.
Well, yeah, they go to a university to learn about geology, but to actually learn about stones and gems, you go to a trade school and you learn gemology, which teaches you that these things happen very quickly. Like they couldn't figure out how to make a diamond because they thought it took huge amounts of pressure and they kept exploding the stone. When they realized it's low temperatures and very low pressures that create.
We know it happens so fast because of carbon dating. I mean, we carbon dated it.
Right,
and it's like, bam. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, we were taught, even still today in the universities, they're taught that these things take millions. I love the beginning of by the way, millions and millions and billions. But no, I mean, it can happen very quickly. Crystals don't even need a crystal doesn't need to be in liquid form at all. It can go from a gas to forming a crystal if the pressures are low enough or the temperatures it's amazing how it all really works. And I always thought that a crystal had to be made out of, either a liquid or some kind of something mixed together and this happened, but no, it's like a cake. The ingredients can sit there forever on your shelves and not be a cake. But once you put them in the right environment and they have this right stuff around them, boom, now you have a cake. Same thing with crystals, diamond, any type of mineral like this. They all
Yeah.
grow. They're all alive.
That's so weird to think about. Like, just like, it almost seems like some force of nature, like that's invisible, that creates like these shapes. You know what I mean? Like, it's really weird.
Yeah, the plutonic solids. It's all comes from just this very small amount of, structures and shapes and how they're formed. And that's one of the ways they determine whether it's this stone or that stone or this stone. They'll say the cleavage line. If it cuts a certain way, they'll know it's, this type of stone. Yeah, it's amazing. Gemology is very cool. Geology is kind of Narnia to me. They're just making stuff up. It's like so many of the other fields of science, right? But gemology, they're actually, you're not going to go pay $5 million for this stone if it's a piece of quartz. You want to make sure it's the stone, the type of stone that you want, and this and that, and yada, yada, yada. And it takes a gemologist to do that. Yeah.
They have to know all the properties that there's to look for and everything for that.
And now that we're growing so many of these things, you have to know how it works and what's
you should
happening.
See how they grow on the space station. It's amazing.
Or on the dark side of the moon,
lettuce.
Yeah, the dark side of the moon too. Yep. With all that water, all that frozen water.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Like, what a world. Like, it seems so sloppy, the ideas that we were taught. They just seem so sloppy when I think of them now. I'm like, you can't put that together as some logic. That makes no sense.
Well, just to think, people are going to buy it, right? Like, let's say we're still chugging along 30 years from now, right? And there's going to be people on Earth that are going to believe that there's like a skyscraper on Mars, right? There'll be like a small town already, a small colony there, right? And
people that already believe that.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't have anything on the moon facing us, right? Like you can't, right? Like, it'd be so easy to do that. But
so now, easy that it's pointless. We've been there. Why would we do that? Why would NASA do that just for you?
Nobody wants to go to the moon. Who wants to go there? Come on, man. We're going to go somewhere. We're going to go to Mars. Come on.
No, that's what my buddy said. That's what my buddy said. He said if they landed on the moon, it would have said USA from here. Like, we would have looked up and it would have said USA.
Right.
Or Pepsi.
We don't mess around like
that.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
They'd have commercialized it by now.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be a big logo.
Advertising ever. Yeah.
In that live stream, someone came and said, Earth isn't flat or whatever. They landed on the moon. Because people always come in, like when I'm filming the moon, they always come in and they're like, do you think we landed on the moon? Do you think we landed on the moon? And I'm always just like, I always say, a lot of people believe we landed on the moon. I don't. But what was it that, they said you can verify it with a high-powered telescope. You can see the whatever on there. And I'm like, no, you're just making that up. And the
you can
images
see a pixel.
The images that you're thinking of right now that are in your mind, those were taken from the supposed, what is it, LROC or something, the orbiting the moon satellite. So yeah, you can trust those images if you want, but you can believe those images if you want. I don't believe them.
Yeah.
Even as a child, when I went to Cape Canaveral, standing next to a Saturn V rocket, that was amazing.
Yep.
I was in awe of the size of these things and stuff like that. But when I saw the lunar lander, my first question to my father, now I was 8.5, maybe close to 9, somewhere right around there. My first question to him was, where's the real one?
Yeah.
That was what I asked him.
And you're
because even from 40, 50 feet away, we couldn't get up real close to it. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, no way. That's curtain rods and
construction paper
and tinfoil. But he's like, no, that's the one that went and blah, blah, blah. But my first thought was, no.
Why has it got all that saran wrap, gold foily stuff on it.
Yeah, my first inclination, even as a child, was that thing didn't go to the moon. That thing didn't go anywhere.
That's good. That's good. Like that's refreshing to hear. There's a video on YouTube. It was just like some church that had like, or maybe it was a school, like a Christian school or something, but like in the kindergarten or the elementary, like the kindergarten class or Sunday school or whatever it was, the adult said, we're going to ask the kids some questions about heaven. And one of the questions was, where is God? And every one of those kids like immediately pointed up at the sky and said, in heaven. Like, don't you know he's in heaven? And I'm like, we all know that. But then as every moment we spend in this world, it gets taken away from us, like the truth. And so by the time they're 3 or 4 years old, they already don't believe it. Like, or 5, 6, 7, whatever. At some point in time, it seems like we know the truth and then we turn away from it. And then now I hope we're coming back to it, turning back towards the truth instead of the lie.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
I'm just glad I got here.
it's a cool place. It's a cool time to be alive.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
And one word that I've put to it, like when you realize the scope of this deception and what's actually the size of what's happening, it's very intimidating. It was for me. I was very intimidated, not like in fear or something, but just to realize that this was how huge something like this could be. This affects everyone in the world. This is not some debate. This is something that is worldwide deception, and it was intimidating to me. That's the best word I had.
I see it as what was described in Revelations as the one world religion.
Yeah, it
you see
is.
People who claim to be of all different types of religions, but their true belief
is the same.
Is not in the books right here that they supposedly worship. It's in the teachings of man.
Yeah.
And this is the new religion
which literally opposes the book.
NASA is 180 degrees opposite of what the book actually says.
Yeah, there it is. Enoch 80 right there.
And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them. How crazy is that, dude? That's when I got sold on the book of Enoch. I was like, when I read that, and I was just like, oh, that was the clincher right there. They knew.
Eye opener.
They predicted it.
Mm-hmm. Well, is it prediction or is it something that's happened before? I see this as, according to China's history, 2,300 years ago, they sent a man and a woman to the moon.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So maybe this is something much older than they've tried this before, possibly.
Well, Sean from Kingdom in Context, he talks about, he did a bunch of research and I don't know where it was, India, I think, like in their history, they had flying machines. And they have like
the
Vimanas. The Vimanas, and those were like real, I guess. Like, he was describing how they could communicate, they could hear what other people were saying from their Vimana, like they could hear, like almost as if they had radio or something like that, and that was really interesting to me. I forgot what he called it, but yeah, I wouldn't doubt. Like even the Tower of Babel, I could even see that the Tower of Babel could be like more than just the tower, I don't know.
Yeah, one of my buddies over at Iron Realm, Josh Corey, he had an idea about what may have happened during the Tower of Babel, according, like, physically wise. Like, how did it get destroyed and this and that? And it got me thinking about electric potential in the air. And, if I stick a nail up in the air and I have it between the two plates of the Van de Graaff, I'm going to start getting these electrical discharges to that, to that tip once it gets
Just out
high
of the
enough.
air.
Yeah, well, from
Yeah.
the other plate even, it'll come down. That lightning strike will come down and hit that. So what if they built this thing tall enough to where it shorted out the Earth? It connected the top and the bottom. And
Oh, wow.
they even say with electroshock therapy, it scrambles people's brains so much that they can no longer speak anymore.
Wow.
They forget, whatever language they were speaking, they don't know how to speak it anymore from
Babble.
traumatic electric shocks. So what if,
Babble.
yeah, this, that's how it could have possibly happened. Maybe they got so high that all of a sudden it collected that discharge and boom, exploded.
And that
the
was
building
God coming down and confounding their language.
Yeah, and that's how they
Yeah,
all lost
that-
their ability to
wow.
speak to each other. Possibly, I don't know.
No,
But
it
rang true when I heard it. Like you get that
makes a
feeling.
little bit of sense.
But yeah, it's possible to happen that way in physics. When you have something, two different plates, capacitors,
And the tower
call
would
it the ionosphere if you want.
The
But
tower
yeah.
would like become hot, wouldn't it? Like in the middle, like
Oh, it would explode. It
yeah.
would just explode. Like they'll take a
There-
wire. The highest we can get a
there's-
wire up into the air connected to the ground is about 2 kilometers. That's it. Because the
it'll-
wire actually evaporates.
Gets hot.
Right. But they're going to build a space elevator, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna,
Yeah, I got
I'm not
tickets
going to
for
hold
that.
my breath for that one.
I know, but I love that's how everyone defeats your arguments. It's always with things in the future, right? Like, well, we're building a space elevator, and
Zachary, you'd have to hold your breath for that one. What are you talking about?
we're going to Mars, and we're building a space escalator.
Huh.
And,
Yeah,
You know, in
George
the book
Bush
of
told me
Jasher-
we're going to have a base on the moon by 2012. And
That's right.
What time
That's
is
right.
it now?
it's all
Every
coming.
president said that. Like
Mhm.
it just gets moved another 4 years when we vote, or when they vote, I should say. In the book of Jasher, it gives an account in chapter 9. It gives an account of the Tower of Babel, and it says some interesting stuff that Genesis doesn't. One of the things is it like divided the people into like 3 different kinds of like intentions or whatever. Like they had wicked hearts, and they had like 3 different kinds of hearts. And the first ones, they wanted to ascend into heaven and smite God and kill him or something. And the second one, they wanted to place, or I can't remember what it was, but the third one, or one of them, was they wanted to place their own gods in heaven and serve them instead of God. And I'm like thinking of satellites and things like that. And I'm like, man, are we just like kind of fulfilling what those people's dreams were with our technology? And then in that was one other weird thing about that account in Jasher is after he confounded the language or whatever, the tower, I think it said the earth swallowed up a third of it, and a third of it was destroyed by fire that came down from heaven, I think. And then the other third is the top third. And it said, and it stayed aloft and is there until this day. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's so weird. If you think about like, what would that mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw somebody in chat asking well, they don't have like a wire going up 2 kilometers. They have to connect it to a rocket. And then they shoot the rocket up into the air. And then they have it on a spool connected to the ground. But it can only get about 2 kilometers before the wire just evaporates. I'll try to find.
Wow.
I think they're doing it down in Florida, maybe Louisiana.
Makes you think about like the Burj Dubai and some of these plans for these tall buildings. Like what could, I never even thought about that. Like if something could be dangerous about that.
Yeah, here you go. I found it. I'll drop it in the chat for all the people. Oh, I don't know if I can. There it is, though. If you see that one, Bobby. It's just a YouTube video. It shows people making a lightning strike. In the YouTube chat. Here, I'll drop it in this chat. I forgot I can't.
Yeah.
Post. There you go.
There you go. You want me to share it? Or you just
You could just show. You don't have to do audio or anything, but if
Yeah.
you just want to show them what they're doing, yeah, it just takes a rocket and has the wire on it, shoots it up. Once it gets so high, it shows a lightning bolt coming down the wire, and then the wire just disintegrates.
Wow. And is it like a instant kind of? Like
Yeah, yeah, it's
wow.
and you can see like the smoke, the vapor left from the
plume from the wire.
Yeah, the wire
exploding.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. I'll bet you that's what the China balloon was on, and that's why it could only be at 60,000 feet because they couldn't have a longer cable to tie it to the ground. I'm just kidding.
You know
what is wrong with our media? What is wrong with our media when even the government, even I don't know who it was, but someone calls it the spy balloon from China, and I'm like, dude, China wouldn't be sent. Oh, is Bobby talking right now? I'm looking. Oh, no. I'm looking at a different screen. I'm sorry. I thought Bobby was muted. I was looking at the YouTube playback. Sorry.
Yeah. See, it says the second strike does not follow the vaporized wire because it's not there anymore.
Weird.
Yeah. So I don't really think they know what is going on up in the atmosphere. Like,
that's crazy.
100%. We can't. I mean, to know how much potential difference there is up there, you have to have, you know,
whoa,
the other potential to measure it against. And
so
if you can't, you can't.
In one sense, did they just like basically create lightning with that setup that they had? Basically,
yeah.
That's crazy. Kind of scary too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know what the Bible says about the end of the world. Like we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it says a lot of things that are going to happen about the sky departing and like
stars falling from
heaven. And we're watching rockets. We're watching like what we just watched with the lightning, like that kind of stuff. This world is something else. And I think probably like, here's an example. You know, they just recently they diverted that, or they changed the orbit of that asteroid or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And since NASA knows everything about the sky, what if like it just came across my mind as a possibility one day? I was like, so the sky works perfect because God made it how it works. And so they're gonna go, like, I don't think it's real, but I'm saying if they're gonna go and they're gonna change the orbit of one of these asteroids, and all of a sudden it hits Earth or something, and then that's what we read about in Revelation 8. You know, like the great mountain burning with fire was cast into the earth, and I'm just like, like we can actually in our day we have the technology that I'm not saying that it's all real, but I'm saying that the world believes in this asteroid that is we just changed its orbit, you know, in order to someday protect Earth from one that's coming. But like, yeah, it's scary because some of the stuff, who knows? Like if we mess with something in the sky, it might not be the same after that. You know, if we do something that, and of course, what do we do in space exploration? They push the limits. They want a bigger rocket. That's what they're building in Boca Chica right now. Like all that, it's always something bigger, always something. Yeah, and that's when you were down in Florida and you saw the Saturn V and whatever, I went down there too, and I saw that when I was a kid. And I have a picture of myself and my brother standing in front of the capsule or whatever. And I look at it, I'm just like, it makes me sick. Just
me
because
with
it's
my
like
NASA hat on, and
yeah,
I was one of them.
Yep.
Even into my 30s, I was a NASA fanboy. I was looking for Nibiru back.
Do you remember hearing about Space Camp? I mean, like NASA
I wanted to go to space camp.
A lot of people wanted to go there.
You got
my
to ride
uncle
in
was
that
going to
one
go to
thing
that.
where you had to try to keep it and level it out straight. And I wanted to do that so bad.
I was into the Anunnaki, man. I was into Zachary Sitchin and all his writings, all his seminars. I was so into the Anunnaki. I was sold.
Planet X, Nibiru's coming,
Yep.
and they're coming back, and they're going to harvest all the gold, and
Their
Yes.
orbit only lets them come by every so many years.
yeah, and then it
S-
all turned out
That's
to
like
be
the,
it's all space nonsense.
like the green
But if you
comet.
think about it, they said it was coming from the south. Did you notice that? The only place
No.
it could be seen was from the South Pole.
Oh,
And they all were pointed, all their telescopes are pointing down towards the South Pole, they were saying. But really, it's pointed out.
Hmm.
to the
So
outer.
it's going to
yeah,
come from the outside. You know, according to
outer
that
space.
revelation, we're going to be visited from the outer spaces.
Yeah.
That's where it's not going to
Crazy.
come from Polaris this way. It's going to, you know, from beyond the horizon is where these things are going to come from. You
Yeah,
ever
I
seen the
was just-
movie Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Like
think
yeah,
so. Yeah.
the newer one that just
Yeah.
came out? Yep. It all
I don't think
talks
I've seen
about
the new one.
Outworld and the land where the sun never reaches, and that's where all the evil's lurking, and this and that, and
They hide
Middle
so
Earth is
much.
the
Yeah.
realm, of
Second
man. And
Esdras talks about a new land. I think it's called like Azareth or something like that. It's a land where or that these people would they be going. They were like the 10 tribes or something, and they'd go to another land that no humans had ever lived at, or no people ever lived at, where they could keep their they could do the right thing or whatever. I don't remember how it worded it, but they could like keep their convictions or whatever in this new land. And I'm just thinking like, man, we kind of found ourselves on some new land. We really did. Like flat earth. I know it's not like that, maybe that how that sounds, but it's like in the Bible, like in Ezekiel, it says it, and I don't know where else, but where he says, I'll put a new spirit in you and take you from among the heathen and place you in your own land. And I'm like, that could be happening like right now in a way that we probably didn't expect, but we are in a new land. And again, I do think that Jesus taught flat earth in the synagogues. I really do. I'm convinced of that now. The gospel of the kingdom. I think we're seeing the truth that we're seeing has something to do with New Jerusalem, I think. I don't know what, but I think it in some way it is gathering people up, and they're people that are seeking truth. I think in Isaiah it's called the city of truth. New Jerusalem is there the temple of God in heaven or whatever that comes down. It's called the city of truth, and I'm just like, man, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm taking after Owen Benjamin now. I'm banning people for life. So you're banned for life. I'm done.
Don't worry, if they want to come back bad enough, they can come back under a different channel name.
They do. They just keep
Yep.
coming back. They can get banned for life.
I've never had another channel besides this one.
Really?
When I go to my thing, it's like create another channel or account. I don't have another one to click into. This is it.
I have one called Flatter
is
Every
me.
Day, like smarter every day, but flatter every day. And I got the same logo as he had too, but then, but it's got it's like a red silhouette of a person, but I put a flat dome in their head, like in their brain. But then I have Effed Up World too.
Yeah, I'd like to get Iron Horse on here sometime. He's an interesting guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed some of his debates.
I like watching his debates. He's good at he's good at keeping it real, like keeping it not simple. I don't mean like that, but keeping it straightforward. What he's trying to say, and he always, of course, gets no one ever.
I like his
answers the
intros.
questions.
I like his deep philosophical intros. Someone said, "What gets you with someone banned? Don't worry, right? As long as you're not being condescending or calling someone ignorant or you're dumb or you're wrong, right? Like, you can express your opinions, that's fine. But if you want to sit there and go like flurf, you call someone a flurf, that's not a nice term, right? It's an insult. So if you come in here dropping flurf bombs, I'm gonna ban you for life."
I'm a proud flirt. I'm just kidding. No, that is like a derogatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's
derogatory.
like saying globetard or something like
Yeah,
that. I don't
exactly.
like that at all.
Yeah. I don't
Like,
use that. I don't.
I always
I
say
would
globe
say,
believer. That's the only word I can really come up with there. I'll say glober, but
I
I don't
say
even
flat
really
earth
like that.
proponent or globe earth proponent.
Yeah.
I just add proponent on. So
But you don't get any of that ad hom with that though. You
I
need some
know.
of
I
that. I'm
know.
just kidding.
No, I won't say globetard, but I will
won't
still
either.
use the word retarded when things are retarded. It's a
There's a
physics
lot of things
term,
in this world that
people.
are retarded.
You
There's nothing wrong
retard
with
a fire.
Yeah.
Now the fire has been retarded.
A fire retardant.
If you refuse to use your brain cells and somebody has dumbed you down, you have become retarded.
If you infer the opposite of what you observe, never mind. I'm not going to finish this. I'm joking.
Yes, I mean, this whole idea of banning words and this and that, and yet, you know, when words have meanings and can be used
Yep.
in a non-derogatory way, then that's a word. It has a definition before
it has a
the insult.
established.
Yes.
It's established and it's widely accepted that the meaning of the word is this. But of course, in Revelation when it says he'd be making fire come down from the sky and in the sight of men, you know, that doesn't really mean fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, these words have meanings. We know what they mean. And so it says what it says. We can, if we want to interpret it a different way, that's our own choice or whatever. But some of the words are just very clear.
And they have meaning. Yeah, almost any word can be used as an insult if you want to turn a word into an insult, you know, or a derogatory statement.
Yep.
I mean, you know, cool, nerd, dork, geek.
Yep.
I used to think nerd was, you know, an insult. Now I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I see what
I
you're
don't
saying.
mind
You
saying
got
that
two
I'm
different,
a nerd.
two clearly different meanings or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
so
uses.
it's all about intent, how the
Yeah.
person intends on using the word. If you're intending to upset somebody by using this term in a derogatory way, then no, I'm not for that. But if you're using the word and using its actual meaning to get a point across, even if you can do it in another way and you're using this word just to nail it home, it's still, you're using that word in its proper context.
Yeah.
Now, I could quit saying retarded because it offends some people, but I'm not going to change the way I speak just because it offends somebody, because they're,
if someone gets offended because
way.
You're using a word, you know, with a genuine intent, that's their own deal. Anyone can get offended about anything that they want. They can find something to get offended about, and a lot of people do.
There's professionals nowadays at this. I mean,
yep,
they're teaching this in schools to figure out how to be offended by what anybody says. That's like your main goal in life now, is to be offended somehow from a statement that you don't agree with.
God, of course, if you're offended, then someone's harming you. That's what Brenda would say.
Yeah, that's
harming
actual
you,
physical
and
harm.
There should be consequences for that offense.
Sorry, sticks and stones need to be brought back.
Yeah,
that's what I was taught when I was a child.
So do spankings.
Oh yeah, I'm a firm believer in spankings.
Hey,
they brought them back in Missouri.
Straighten out in a kid.
Even in school.
When I was a kid, I got spanked, and that straightened me right out. Especially
I never had to be spanked in school, but I saw a child get spanked, and that was enough.
Yeah, you're like, they don't mess around.
I got threatened a couple times. You know, I went down to the office, saw the paddle hanging on the wall, was warned, you guys got to stop doing this. You're going to come back
they did that
and
at
get
my
one
school.
of those.
I never got spanked at school, but they did that at my school.
Yeah. I got that paddle many times, many
well, parents are asking for it now. Parents are asking for it.
Good.
They're saying, hey, if my child is getting out of control there, I want you to discipline him. He doesn't get away with this at home. He's not going to get away with it there.
About the only thing better to do than that is homeschool him if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That's something that I think is like, think of when we were kids. I was homeschooled on and off, which to be honest, it was one of the coolest times I got to spend with my mom and stuff like. So I think it was much more valuable than going to school. But at the same time, I'd be homeschooled for a year. Then I want to go back to school, and then I'd want to be homeschooled. So I kind of jumped around a little, but homeschool is something that I think that's like the way God would have designed us. I guess he kind of did. I mean, your parents raise you, and I think there's no better person to learn about life than from your dad or your mom.
Well, yeah, because there's that intent there,
Yep.
How many teachers truly care about each student equally, and wants
Or with
them to
with the
learn?
time for how precious each child is, a teacher can't give that
can't.
back, and
just
even if
can't.
they want to, like they love them kids and everything, and they want the
Oh
best
yeah,
for
for
them.
sure. But it's
But
not the
there's
same as a parent.
Yeah,
love,
and there's times during the day where you just need to get in line. We don't, and school's like the DMV to me. Like
it's not a place for intelligent people.
It's like a weird place too. It's like weird. Like there's these rules that everybody goes by, and I'm like, who made these up? It's weird.
They wanted to hold me back in first grade because I didn't take my education seriously. That's what my first grade teacher told my mom.
Because you wanted to play or something.
I had a sister who was 3 years older, right?
So you were like,
I knew my
mentally
multiplication
older,
tables. I knew how all my letter, I could write and all that kind of stuff. Because she had a lot of issues with that stuff. And when she would do flashcards and stuff like that, I'd be sitting in the car next to her doing them with her.
Oh yeah.
We even made it to where I wasn't allowed to guess the flashcards in math anymore because Carrie needed more time. Yeah, she needed more time. I already had all that stuff down by the time I was 5. That teacher didn't teach me a thing.
Plus,
I think I even missed 45 days because I had a hernia surgery and chickenpox twice.
Oh, chickenpox! I remember that.
Yeah,
I really wanted chickenpox,
but she wanted to hold me back, even though I got S+ on everything. But I didn't take it serious enough. It's like, because you're not teaching me anything.
Yeah,
I'm coming here and you're having me write my ABCs when I'm writing. I'm reading books and writing already. Writing out my own sentences.
That's where the homeschool idea, your parents would pick up on that much quicker than a teacher would, and have the means to accelerate you forward and be like, you know what, you're picking up on the things that your sister's learning, so why don't we just kind of go at that pace and teach you guys both that same. You never know. I mean, like, families work in a way because your parents know what's right for you. You know what I mean? Like, when you're a child, if your parents, they already want you to do these certain things or believe these certain things a certain way because they found it beneficial in their life to do it that way. And I'm not saying all parents are right or something, but I think all parents are right to teach their kids what they should teach their kids, what they feel they should teach their kids.
Yeah, school should be gone away with today. With the technology we have, there's absolutely zero reason. And then kids can go at their own pace. They can just go at whatever pace they can learn at, right?
Yeah.
And they could actually focus on a certain topic.
Yes. They can.
Did you guys ever go to work with your dad? Ever? I don't know if you guys did.
Yeah.
Mobile
I totally
oil.
went to work with my dad, and I learned everything from my dad, like just from tagging along. And from his point of view, he was like, it was a little more work for him, I'm sure. I mean, there was times like doing woodworking and like installing stuff when I started actually like doing some of the work. There were some of the things that I wrecked that now when I look at them, like, whoa, I can't believe that happened and my dad didn't tear my head off. Like working on like judges' chambers and stuff like that, doing the woodwork in there. And I ran a screw up through a countertop one time and ruined it. And it was like the last thing we were putting in, and we had to go build a new one. We had to make a brand new one. And my dad was like, it's all right, it happens. And I'm just going like, I don't know if I'd be able to be that patient if I had a kid and he wrecked there's deadlines and stuff. But yeah, I learned everything from him while we were working,
My dad worked on cars all the time. He like bought and sold cars, like 100 more, more than he'd be putting blowers on them. He'd be putting
cool.
And I'd be out there helping him at 10 years old, change brakes or pull out an engine. And then he owned a window factory. So I'd be installing windows at 15 years old, and then roofs.
Nice.
And I would be out installing roofs on, helping his roofing crew roof.
I
It was
did
cool,
not
too.
like roofing.
Yeah.
I mean, roofing was
Roofing's
cool
hot.
at first, but after about the 30th, 40th roof you've done,
Oh, yeah.
it's just pretty much the same thing. And
That's hard work.
I
That's
mean, it's
hard
good work because, it's good exercise.
Keeps you in shape. Yeah.
But I don't know how
If
many
you can take the
knuckles
heat.
I've ripped off, and
Oh.
those roofing nails, you get a knuckle hooked on it and whoosh, just
Fall off a roof, whatever. Yeah.
twice I fell off a roof.
Oh,
And the worst one, it was actually funny. Nobody saw it though. That was the worst part about it. I stepped on the roofing shovel, and you know how they got that bend in them, and the thing
Yeah.
just came up and whaps. Oh, my lip
Oh.
real bad. I'm bleeding all over. 4 other guys on the roof, not one of them saw it. That's the part that upset me.
and
You
now you're
know?
standing there with a bloody mouth going,
Yeah,
no,
I mean-
I tell him.
Physical humor is hilarious. I was laughing. I couldn't believe I did it.
Yeah.
But I was upset because nobody else got to get a kick out of
You're
it
like, why?
to see it happen. Yeah. But yeah, no, roofing, it taught me a lot about just hard work, and because it is.
There's some about hard work, man. I love it. I
Oh,
love
it feels good
like,
when you're done. You're
Yep.
all tired and sore, but you look up at it and you're like, I helped do that right there.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
something that I think I have like a short attention span, and that's something I think that's helped me throughout my entire life is being in construction, like building something. There's always that immediate reward of just, even if you're not done with it, looking at the progress you've made through with that day or whatever. You go to bed knowing at night that you did something.
You did
And I
something.
think that without like that, like I would have a hard time finding the motivation to do, many things, I guess.
I do everything myself. If
Oh
my
yeah,
car needs
YouTube
new-
University.
Yeah.
If you
If my car
Yeah.
needs axles,
These
I put
days-
axles in it. If it needs a new cam, I put a new cam in it. If it needs a new transmission, I pull out the transmission. I put a new transmission in it. If it needs new shocks, whatever it needs, I do
What about a rack and
every-
peanut?
rack and peanut. Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever it is, and I'll learn how to do it. I don't care. I'll learn how to sweat copper pipes. I've learned whatever it is.
That's my dad too. He knows how to do everything. Everything.
The only thing that scares me is, I know it sounds crazy, but electricity.
Yeah.
As much as I love electricity, and I mean, 50,000 volts static electricity, that's nothing. I've been shocked with over 200,000 volts that way. But
I've been
real electricity, like running
I've
through
been
the
blown
wires.
across the room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary, man.
I've
heard
been zapped a few
stories.
times.
My buddy working down in Louisiana on an oil refinery.
Give me the
The
goosebumps
electricity
right now.
there is huge amounts.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see this type in any home anywhere. The amounts of electricity that are running through these 4-inch wires, going
Yeah.
to some of this stuff. He said the guy he was supposed to be teaching him, right? And he had his back turned to him. He was working on something over here. He said he saw a bright white flash and a loud bang, turned around, and the only thing left was the guy's shadow on the ground.
Whoa. It
The
just
guy
like
was gone.
eliminated him.
Like,
That's crazy.
no part of him, no belt buckle, no nothing was
It
left.
just zapped it.
Zapped, totally disintegrated him.
That's
Like,
scary.
yeah. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do that ever.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
That's
yeah,
like
that's one thing I am
Wizard of
very
Oz stuff.
scary about, dealing with electricity coming out of the walls. That's why my Vandegraaff is a hand crank one.
Yeah.
That type
Well,
of
there's a lot of
electricity
potential.
scares me.
Yeah. And nothing to fear. We're in 2023. It's all good. I'm just kidding.
Well, gents, I don't mean to be
Yep.
cutting out too early, but yeah.
I was
Usually
thinking the
9
same thing.
o'clock
We
is
put down.
my-
Yep.
It's actually perfect timing. We put down 3 hours. It's I normally go 2, but I was like, man, you all were flowing, and I was loving it. So
I was enjoying this. This is great. Good,
Yeah.
good meeting you, Zach.
Yeah, you too, brother. I've always seen you in the chats and stuff. It's nice to put a face to it and all that good
now
stuff.
an E. An E.
yeah,
to
that's
it.
what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Or an E to it, whatever.
My internet works better that way, I guess.
And Bobby, thank you so much, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm glad I got to. hopefully this year I'll get to come up. You're not that far away. I'll probably drive up and do one of Karen B's things. So hopefully we'll get to hang out.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll make
I
it.
should do that too. I got to do that. Like,
Well,
every
let's
time
line it
I
up,
wanna
man.
do-
Joe, just swing by here and we'll swing up there and we'll make it a thing.
We should, yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's plan on it. Like when I went to the 2018 Flat Earth International Conference, I wasn't planning on going, and then a couple people like in my comments or something were like, "You should go," and I was like, "I should go," and I just left. Like I bought a ticket like the last day or something, and I just hopped in my truck and just drove down there. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was out in the middle of the desert in Ehrenberg, Arizona, right on the Colorado River, camping. And some people wanted me to go, and they're like, "Hey, man," I was making hemp hats to pay for my way around the country, just gas money, a little bit of food money, this and that.
Nice.
He's like, "Hey, man, I'll buy 5 or 6 of those off you, and that should be able to get you here and this and that." And that's how I got there.
That's awesome.
It was flat earthers saying, "Yeah, we want you to be there. I want to meet you. So here, I'm going to buy some hats off you."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
That was a good, it was a good experience just to, when you see all the people in person and you're like, wow, this is like such a real thing that.
Yeah, you actually meet them and they're not.
Yeah.
They're the actual people that you talk to or you see talking on the
Yep,
shows like
on
Globebusters.
YouTube or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the same people. It's not
Yep.
like this is a like a show they're putting on here.
I remember
It's
when
like,
I saw
this is
Robbie
it.
Davidson, I was like, whoa, he's tall. He's like
so tall.
75 feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah, and Rob Skiba, that guy was so awesome.
Yeah.
In person even.
Yeah.
You know, just very humble, very and
think I shook
open-minded
his
about
hand.
everything.
I think I shook his hand, but I don't think I talked to him much. But yeah.
Yeah, I was
Bobby, thank
fortunate
you for
enough
doing
to
this.
sit down and have dinner with Rob a couple times and
Nice.
couldn't meet a better man.
He is definitely missed by many people. But you know what I like to see? I still see his content all over in videos,
yep.
all over the place, all over TikTok. I love it.
You
Oh, it was
know,
legendary.
I just downloaded all his videos day before yesterday, all of them. Someone reached out to
nice.
me and was saying, man, you know, now that he's gone, if his channel comes down, all his content could be, and you know, I'm sure people have it downloaded and it's on different, but I just thought about it and I thought, you know, not one of his videos should be lost. So I downloaded them all.
Awesome.
If you want a separate thumb drive, you can go to testingtheglobe.com. I think it's $20. You can buy one of his kits that he sells from his wife, the Lake Michigan test he did.
And it has
He's got
a bunch
kit
of
that's set up, and it comes with a thumb drive of all of Rob's work, all of his work that he did with Seed. I mean, like everything is on this thumb drive. that it
I'll have to
comes
get
with.
that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
will check that out.
Testingtheglobe.com.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure is.
that's
yeah,
one of
that
those
is the website.
things. That's one of those things that Rob did that I was talking about. Bob from Globebusters. He was that day he was talking and it just had this profound, it just affected me so much. Rob did the same thing when him and Rick Hummer went out to the lake, and I was kind of watching that as they were, you know, as the days were going by and seeing the videos they were putting out. And I was just like, in my mind, it almost seemed like something back in like the days of the Gospels being written, like John the Baptist. And it seemed like the whole world was going to see this thing that they did. And it really did have a ton of meaning, what they were doing, going across that lake. Like that, to me, that was another one of those powerful things that really spoke to me.
Yeah, Rick Hummer, he's another one. Very special
he's awesome.
man.
I like that guy.
I got to hang out with him in, I think, 2019 down in Dallas. And we were up each night till like 3-4 in the morning. No alcohol involved.
No, but having a blast.
Having the most amazing conversations, you know.
Yep.
Just an instant brother. Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
meet
that's
amazing
awesome.
people in this community, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll
Thank
wrap
you,
it up.
Bobby.
I know y'all got places to go, but Zach, thanks for coming on. I'll stay in touch with you, and anytime you're bored and want to come on, you're always
Absolutely.
welcome. Yes,
If we could, we got to get you over on IRM. And yeah.
I love
I'd love
that.
to.
I
I'm
love listening to Ironworks or whatever. It was on this morning, I think, right?
Mhm.
Is it
Yep.
this morning? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the backup channel still. I think this Friday we were in YouTube jail. So
Oh, okay.
medical misinformation, you know. how
Oh,
it goes.
yeah. You probably told the truth, huh?
Yeah, you can't do that in a world
I
of
guess.
deceit.
I
Telling the
guess,
truth
yeah.
is a revolutionary act.
Yeah, it's true. Thank
How
you,
it works.
Bobby.
Yeah.
I love
thanks
that you're
again,
doing
man.
these. I love that you're
Yes.
doing these streams, man. Keep going. I
More
love
to
it.
come. All right. We'll
Awesome.
see you guys soon, hopefully.
Much love.
Till next time.
See ya.